What's going on, motherfuckers? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. My name is Naaackers, and today is February 17th, 2019, and this is episode number 87. I almost said 67. My eyes are bad. Oh, my God. Anyways, tonight's episode is a 1v1, and we have the one and only BishopGP in the house. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? What's up?
I'm fucking great. How you doing?
Dude, I'm super excited. We were talking about this before the podcast started. And I was trying to, it's interesting, before a podcast starts, you don't really want to talk to the person. Like, we were preparing the audio and stuff like that, but it's I was kind of holding off on talking to you too much, because we're gonna get through all of the subjects within 5 minutes, because I talk really fast and just burn through them. So yeah, I'm doing good, man. I haven't been so excited to be a part of something on Twitch in a really long time, so I appreciate you bring me on this, man. I've been a fan of yours for a long time, and what you do. So this is exciting, man.
Thank you. You're making me uncomfortable, but I appreciate it. Thank you. You know what's funny is a lot of the times because I usually, for those unaware, I try and get my guests in an audio call 20 minutes prior to going live, so we can check audio, we can check cameras, go over any questions. And then usually the people come in and they don't really know what to do. They're just kind of waiting for the show to start, so they got their hands in their pockets and they're looking around. And I'm here doing 19 different things, loading up tweets, getting the bot ready, and they're talking in my ear while I'm trying to set up. And in my head, I'm like, shut the fuck up and save it for the recording. God, and they're asking me all these questions, how's your life been? What you been up to? I'm like, wait! Yeah, wait for me to go
live. You're blowing it. We're saving this. We planned this ahead of time.
The amount of times me, Jimmy, and Salty or Mr. 42 would start talking about something, and then one of us would go, oh, you know what? I'll just wait for the podcast. And then we just all get quiet, and then we just save it.
It's Jimmy, if you fucking say that, if you ask me that question again about how my new house is, I'm going to drop kick you.
Trying to get that content, dude. God damn.
Damn.
We're gonna back to what, the struggles?
Yeah, struggles of a podcast.
Damn.
Struggles of a podcast.
By the way, the bokeh headlights that go by in the window of your camera looks fantastic.
Yeah, I actually I moved my camera so it's a little bit more personal, straight on. So I'm looking at this side. So usually you can see there's a big bridge and a bunch of a mile of traffic. So usually you see trickling lights, but yeah, it's pretty. I get a lot of people wow, look at your background. And in the meantime, it's literally just a window. And I'm I spent so much more time at my last place, and now all I need is a window.
Not bad. And have you streamed during the daytime with it?
I haven't. As a matter of fact, streaming. Great question, by the way. This is interviewee tactics. Great question, by the way. But I haven't been streaming as much as I've been wanting to. So I've been doing nighttime streams at the very last second. But I haven't streamed during the day. But for that, there's these blinds that kind of drop down, and it's an opaque kind of you can see through it. So there's a little bit of transparency to it. So it diffuses the light quite well. But you can still see the bokeh in the background. So I've been meaning to do it more often, to test it out, but I haven't gotten around to it.
When you were setting up, did you look at that window and go, oh, I'm gonna bokeh the shit out of you? Or did you set it up, turn it on, and go, oh shit, this looks dope?
I think it's a little bit of both. So we have Casey and I both have a photography background. I'm more video than photo than she is, but we have all these we have a whole drawer of lenses that we can use. We have 50 millimeter 1.2s. We have 35 millimeters, 24, 85. So we've been kind of walking around the apartment with our cameras and pointing it at certain things and wait, where's the best angle? What is going to look the best? And when we finally got, we were actually planning, and we really, really, really wanted to have a large desk in the room that I am in now for us both to be kind of face to face. But then in a term of 3 days, we found out that I'm way too loud to have two microphones in one space. So.
Especially facing each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. she's now through a bathroom, two closed doors, and you'll be watching your stream, and then you'll just hear me go. So,
you guys have hardwood floors, don't you?
Yeah. Oh no, they're concrete all the way through.
Whoa.
Full concrete.
Yeah. Concrete.
Yep.
Is that colder than hardwood when you're walking around in the morning?
It's freezing. It's the worst. But it's it's nice. It looks pretty, and there's a lot of sound bouncing off of it. But I like it. Coming from Arizona, where I lived before I moved to Portland, everything is literally beige. So you have beige carpet, you have beige walls, you have beige roof, you have beige everything. It ultimately, like, if you blur your eyes while you walk around an apartment in Arizona or a house in Arizona, it seems like you basically just had a stroke and all you're seeing is just beige.
Oh, that's, oh my God. Wait, you were in an apartment in Arizona?
Yeah. Yep.
It did not look like it.
Yeah. No, I was in an apartment, but that's how Arizona is. Like, everything is like, the apartments are made out like you would furnish like a, like a entry level home. So like everything is pretty basic. Obviously you have like that high end apartment, but I guess like the like there's a lot of young, or not young people, there's a lot of old people. So they want it to be as simple and beige as possible. Colorful stuff is a no-no.
When I moved into this house, I assume that if you're a landlord, you want to do the least amount of work possible in order to make the house presentable to the next tenant. And so when I walked in here, this room, the first living room, and the second living room, aka the craft room, base molding, wall, crown molding, and ceiling were all popcorn ceiling, by the way, were all like tan. Not beige, not off-white, fucking tan. And I walked in, I said, this will not do. Yeah. And I only went about 80% of the way because I've painted a lot of popcorn ceilings in my life, and it is the worst. It is absolutely terrible. So I painted everything but the popcorn ceiling. So if you're looking around the room, you're like, oh, okay, stuff could have been tan before. But then you compare the crown molding to the popcorn ceiling and you go, oh, shit, those are two different colors. But again, renting, not giving a shit.
Yeah. And then beyond that, like with tan walls, like when I moved into the place, or sorry, beige and tan are a little different, but like beige is ultimately what I had was just off-white. So with people that are like interested in streaming or having like a games room, everything has to be RGB, right? Like we're playing with how light plays on walls.
Yep.
And I remember when I first got I basically got this apartment that had a bedroom and then on top was the living space. So it was like a loft, and I would sleep in the loft and then play or have my office in the bedroom. And I was like, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is paint this place. I ended up painting the wall on the back side behind my monitor, black all the way across. And then forgot to paint the rest of it because I was like, I painted one wall. I'm good. I don't want to have to, like, when I move out, I don't want to have to repaint everything. So I only painted one wall black, and then the rest of them were beige. It was the worst thing for light bouncing. And literally, like, if you take like a black surface and basically it prevents any sort of reflection from happening on an object's face.
Right.
Which you don't want in front of the object. So it was the stupidest thing I pretty much ever did. So I always had like these crazy shadows.
And then you just left it and you never went back?
Yeah, never. Nope. I was just like, I'm either going to paint this whole place white, but then it would be weird to just have the bedroom white. And I don't know why, but like whenever I move into an apartment or something like that, I have this mentality where it's like, I don't want to touch anything. I want to leave it alone and as basic as possible because it doesn't seem like a permanent place. You know what I mean?
Right. See, I sort of kind of used to have that mentality. And by the way, if any of you guys want to submit any questions to be answered at the end of the show during the Q&A, !Q, and then your question in chat. I like sort of got into this mentality of, okay, I don't think I'm going to stay here that long, but then you end up staying a while. And it's like, well,
10 months later.
Yeah. And then, well, for you, yeah, you were out of there pretty quick. But it's like, man, I've tried to like simplify my life to a point where I don't want to get attached to anything. So therefore I don't do anything. And my last house, I treated it that way. And it just ended up kind of making me miserable because it almost felt like the house wasn't mine. Like it belonged to somebody else. And I was just kind of squatting there. But now that I know, like I've been here probably 3 going on 4 years now, and I know I'm probably going to be here for like another 3 years. So I can't even, there's going to be 2 or 3 days of just filling holes when I have to leave this house because there's shit hung up everywhere. And I might even have to like re-drywall the craft room because of all the shit that's in there. But we've had this conversation a couple times on my stream, but I'm just not about buying a house whatsoever, at least for the next, I don't know, 20 years. Like I have no interest in buying a house whatsoever. And so I've just been putting my money and time into the house I'm in, and then move to the next one, and we'll do it all over again.
Yeah, and it works out, I think, at the end. I know that the place that I was in prior to this one, I mean, I was expecting, it was like kind of like this wear on me because I knew at the time, I think I had like a year lease and I was there for just over, I think it was like a year and a half. But at the time I was like, I don't want to change anything because it's not mine. And but at the same time, you kind of like imprison yourself in this idea that you can't change anything.
Right.
So when you're walking around, you're like, this really isn't mine. And yeah, that kind of squatter mentality. So I feel you there. It's, and now I think with the place that we're in, it's more like industrial feeling. So like white walls and concrete. So it's like I can get away with doing nothing because it is really clean and nice.
Right.
And during the day, it feels like, it's still warm enough where it feels, comfortable. But then at night, we light up all of our LifeX lights and all of that. And literally every fixture that we had, because we combined not only all of my LifeX lights, but then all the LifeX bulbs that Casey had. So literally you walk outside and you just see at our apartment, everything's dark. And then all you see is this big pulsating light.
I love that. Wait, so the ground, is everything concrete? Like the ceiling, walls, and ground?
No.
Floor?
So the walls are just like flat white walls and then flat. It's just like kind of like a white box with a concrete bottom.
Interesting.
So it is really cool. It's like a cool industrial kind of like a modern take. I'm not really that well versed in architecture or design when it comes to that kind of stuff. I basically just throw in colorful light bulbs and I'm like, hey, I know what I'm doing.
I did this. And that's the same thing I planned when I moved into this room. I'm like, well, I already have all my Philips Hue bulbs. I know I'm going to get more things that glow. Why not just paint it white and then I can make my room whatever color I want depending on the mood that I'm feeling.
Yeah, I think when it comes to streaming too, and maybe a subject that might be important for a lot of other people that are watching that want to become streamers or want to set up their rooms and stuff like that. Because I know that I had a huge influx of people that would come to my channel just because I had such a crazy setup, and and I'm sure you do too. Like people come in and they're like, "Oh my god, that's so cool! What's that?" They ask a bunch of questions, but a short story about like Casey and I, when we first moved in here, we wanted to be in the same room in this room. So we wanted to set it up with the certain angles and have it work out perfectly for us. Now Casey's out in a foyer, which is like, it sounds terrible, but she actually has this huge, it's this weird room that we have by our front door. That's like this really, really wide hallway that you can't really use for anything else, but she can tuck an entire desk and all these desks up against the wall.
Interesting.
And when we were first doing it, I was like, man, that's kind of shitty for her. Like that's going to be, it's you're in a hallway. It's not going to work out. And then now, like when I was talking to her and we were going back and forth, I was like, hey, like, let's do, with whatever space we have, we're going to work through it. If it ends up working out, it'll work out. If it doesn't, like we can move some stuff around. But let's just try to make the best of what we have. And now she has the better setup. Her setup is so cool because like the angles of the wall and the way that she plays with the lights, it's super, super cool. And then she still has a little bit of bokeh going into the kitchen area.
Yes.
So she actually hung some lights in there, and she's planning on continuing to do some lighting stuff. Where I kind of went the easy way of like, as soon as she moved her stuff out of this room, I pushed everything up against the wall, and I was like, oh. I'll use all that as the light. Like, I'm good. I'll put like a couple things that I've done and like maybe another RGB light back there. But I think the moral of the story is, when it comes to streaming setups and just gaming rooms and stuff like that, don't overthink it. Just walk around, see what you like as far as what's going to work. Don't slam your desk against a wall where it's going to be completely inconvenient to walk in and out just because you have like a window in a certain place. But in a lot of cases nowadays, you can do a lot with the spaces that you have. And like a good example of that is my buddy Grant KTA on Twitch. He has like a closet that he's using, and it's awesome. Like it works out really, really, really well. So I think using the space to in the way that best suits it, and then playing with light a little bit here and there, you can do a lot with the space that you have.
Absolutely. And I, for one, I always tell people to build up if you can, because the very tiny room touching my walls right now. But if you start building shit upwards, you can do a lot with a little bit of space. I've been thinking about our next place. I'm most likely going to end up in like a finished basement because I need to have this. I need to have a local place where what I'd like to have is this whole setup. But then if I was to turn around and do a 180 to have a double-sided desk. A desk. A regular table where I could do local podcasts where people could come in and sit. And then I need to have space for the VR in the same area. So most likely just going to end up in a finished basement. But yeah, it's like, as long as I can have my audio equipment on my right and the microphone on the left, everything else will probably just fall into place and it'll be all right.
Yeah, I at the last place I had so it was a similar size room, but I had 2 desks. I had one that I was planning on using because like my background and a lot of what I spend my time doing when I'm at home is either sleeping, obviously, or video editing. And so I built a gaming PC, and then I still have my streaming PC, which used to be my editing PC. But at my last place, I had it pushed up against the window, kind of like on an L, so it would be like in my background that I have here. So my desks would be kind of adjacent to each other, but I never used it. I never sat there even one time. After building all of it and spending all that time, I did all of the edits on my gaming PC, everything that I needed to do, rendering and everything was local in one spot, and I never went over there. And it was funny because Casey came to town the first couple times, and she would use that desk behind me whenever we were streaming together or playing games together, or even during the day when we were working. And she'd pick up something and there'd be like a ring of dust around it. Like where she picked it up.
Oh my God.
It was never used. It was insane. So I think that's, coming into this new place for us both, we were looking at kind of what we had, obviously, because we didn't have a lot of expendable cash to be able to do stuff.
Right.
But we were able to kind of like make it so then we weren't positioning stuff in a way that it didn't really work out for us. But at the end of the day, we kind of set it up in a way that works out for both of us.
I always wondered what that PC was in your background at your old place. I'm like, man, it's so far away. I'm like, I don't think that's a streaming PC because what sense does it make all the way back there? I never saw you use it, but it was a streaming PC, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically had my gaming PC similar to how I have it set up now. And then the one in the back, it was just 3 monitors on this desk that I built myself. It was a IKEA kitchen countertop that I built out of galvanized pipe and all that. Yes, it's the best. If you need to build a desk, go to IKEA, get a kitchen countertop. It's like $100.
Yep.
Then I bought the countertop and made this really, really, really nice desk that Casey's actually using now. I'm just using a simple sit stand, but I had that in the back, and it ultimately like my ability to use it, all I had to do was spin my chair and then push like a couple times, like I was skateboarding towards the other side. But ultimately what it came down to is I really never needed it because my gaming PC does everything that thing could do. So I don't need it.
Wait, so are you on a single PC setup now?
I'm on a dual PC setup. So I have 2 PCs. I'm still on 2 PCs, just don't have the extra monitors and landscape. So I have some switches and stuff like that. Where our video call that's happening is going through the streaming PC, and then I still have my gaming PC in front of me. So I still have 2. It's just less monitors, less unneeded stuff. It's just clutter.
It really is. There's actually I've always been under the impression, and with my experience, that using like a KVM switch or an app like Synergy to use a single keyboard mouse for 2 PCs has always been a pain in the ass. But I just saw somebody on Twitter not advertising, but promoting this piece of hardware that was like a USB 3 KVM switch that they were using between both PCs, and apparently it worked pretty well.
I think I have something similar. I have I honestly I don't know what KVM stands for. I'll come out and say that right away. But I have this thing called a Ugreen. UGREEN. Hopefully we get a sponsorship deal out of this.
Hey,
50-50 split.
Actually,
70-30.
I think I follow Ugreen on Instagram.
Do you?
I think so. They make custom cables and shit too, right?
Yeah, they make all kinds of stuff.
Okay.
But this switcher is just a button switcher. So I have my keyboard and mouse plugged into that, and then whenever I need to go and mess with my streaming PC that's over here, I just push the button, and then I have my same peripherals and just messing around over there.
Okay. It's KVM switch.
yeah.
I don't even know what KVM. It's got to be like kernel based virtual machine. Oh, he's not about that. I work in IT and I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew it was KVM switch from forever ago. Fuck.
So interesting subject. I was before we got into obviously our audio call, I was talking to Casey and I was like, I literally, and I'm gonna keep referring to this. I rely on Casey for like 80% of everything nowadays. I've lived with her for like 3 months and I already rely on her for everything. And I was like, Casey, what should I wear? Should I wear like a hoodie? Should I wear a shirt? And then I was like getting a button up out of the drawer, and I was like,
for this podcast?
And, yeah, for this podcast. And now for the people that are listening that can't see, Naaackers is wearing a shirt that says "Get that ass sucked." So I'm happy that I'm wearing a hoodie. I feel a little overdressed, but I'm happy that us being buddies, it's good that it's more casual than what I was expecting, because I was about to put a suit on.
Please, you're not serious. You're joking.
No, I was gonna put a button up on, maybe not a suit. That was a little far.
What I'm trying to figure out, what about this podcast made you consider having to ask your significant other what you would want to wear, like it was a formal occasion, or that it was like a job interview or something? It's fucking Crocs and Hot Pockets, bro.
Dude, this is top level, all right? The preparation for this thing, and I was telling you before the stream started, but I've literally, as soon as Naaackers reached out to me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to? I'd like to have you on the show." I was like, "Yes," because I was talking to Casey about it when you do like when you have Jimmy and everyone else on. I was like, "Hey, I should talk to Naaackers and see if I can get in there, because I like the subjects he talks about, and I never shut the hell up, so it's perfect for me because I never stop talking." And she's like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." And then you hit me up, and I was like, "Yes!" And then you're like, "Oh, it's gonna be February 17th," and I think at the time it was January something. I was like, "God damn it!"
Yeah, that's far away. I'm actually curious when the actual date was. Let's see. Yeah, January 22nd. So that's pretty good as far as my standards go. 1, 2, 3. That's 4 weeks. So you were on like the early side. Usually I book those about a month and a half.
Really?
Is usually the minimum.
I was just I've been super excited for this, man. I gotta be honest. Like, and I said this at the beginning, but I look up to you as a streamer. I look up to you as a man, as as a fellow bearded individual. It's if you can call this a beard, I guess. Maybe we should rewind a little bit, but
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's good to know that there's other people out there that because it's hard to find on Twitch in general. It's hard to source people that are also doing things in their own ability to like increase the production quality of their streams. I haven't necessarily been doing it in a while. Like I kind of had a hiatus for the past like 6 months or so from finding things that I can do to upgrade the quality, and I've kind of reverted a little bit. But it's always cool when you find those people. It's like inspiring, because you're like, hey, even though that's stuff that's not necessarily applicable to what I can do, that like, say if you like, I'm a graphics guy, if you're a coding guy and you're doing something with code, I can replicate it with graphics, and it's not necessarily like an overlap of it's basically using my skills to do the same thing that you're doing with yours. So
right,
in a different way. So I always find that kind of stuff really interesting. So that's why I was so excited to be on here. I was like, man, Naaackers is like one of my favorite guys on Twitch. It's so sick. I can't wait.
Our quality will be immeasurable.
It's gonna be insane. Okay. So I've been excited about it, and when I saw that date, I was like, God damn it, I'm not gonna survive. I'm gonna stress myself out. So maybe if it was impromptu, I would have been like, I'll just wear a t-shirt and a hoodie. But instead, I had to wait. So I was like, fuck. Okay, I'm gonna wear a suit.
I can't believe this is even a conversation. It's like when your boss is like, hey, I need to talk to you. Come into my office. And you're like, oh, fuck. Then you get in there and they're like, by the way, let's just reschedule for next week. Next week? I'm going to die. Please.
Just tell me.
What are you sipping on tonight?
What am I sipping on? I am drinking a beer. I actually have no idea. Casey chilled this. She is way more like artsy when it comes to food and drink and all that stuff. She's way more versed. My whole stream has been fueled by Dos Equis from its inception. Love Dos Equis. This tastes a lot like Dos Equis, but it's probably just because it tastes like beer. I'm not a big drinking guy.
Okay.
So she brought me Pyramid Apricot Ale. That's what she brought me.
Ooh, that sounds good. Okay. Yeah. I'm always down with that. So for those of you guys that are new to the show, the 1v1 podcast, or just the podcast in general, is always just an opportunity for me to sit down with somebody that I like or admire or that inspires me and just have a conversation, just sit here and talk. Most of the time, the topics aren't predetermined. We just kind of hop on and we just kind of shoot the shit. And so there's not anything we're really going to touch on. We're just going to sit here and shoot that shit. I will say that when you were talking about preparation today, I did absolutely zero preparation for this podcast. So normally, like the first year of the podcast, I would sit down, I would write out a 2-page script, and we would just like hit all the points and had to go by the book every time. And then a couple months ago, I finally tried to make like an internal pledge with myself to not write absolutely everything that I needed to talk about on the show. Just let this conversation just flow through you and your buddies. It'll be fine. And there's some days where I have a guest on and I'm like, I don't really know how they are talking wise. I don't know how their conversation flows. Are they able to? There's some guests that don't ask any questions, like whatsoever. It's only
prepare for me.
Right. I'm trying to use you for content. But there's just some people who don't ask questions at all. They just hear questions and then they respond to them and that's it. Some people will respond to questions and then they'll build off of it and they'll give me a little meat that I can latch onto. So it all depends on the person. I knew going into the podcast tonight that I was not going to have to prepare one bit. I'm like, I don't think I've ever, wait a minute. This is our first audio call ever.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked before. Besides like being in each other's streams for the past year or so.
This is
I
very,
don't think we've ever, yeah, this is weird. This is weird.
Ah!
It feels like we're kindred spirits.
So, what do you want to talk about?
You know what? Hey, you know what? I was on. I've been haven't been streaming myself very much, but I've been on Casey's stream because we live in the same place. So maybe this is kind of a cool, kind of segue because I think it's something that we both are experiencing a little bit. We can go and talk about your place after this because that's something also I want to ask you. Because I have a whole list of questions. I prepared for this. Okay?
All right, take it away.
But so you and Weenie,
yeah,
similar to Casey and I, or in Rebel Ruby, for those that don't know who Casey is, but Rebel Ruby in chat, Rebel Ruby and I met through Twitch, and you and your girlfriend met through what I believe to be the gaming. I don't know if it was Twitch. Was it Twitch or was it?
No, it was Twitch.
Community?
Yep.
Oh. So, that's something that I think not a lot of people know that we share in common.
Yeah.
Per se.
Yep.
But, with that being said, like, how awesome is it? It's great. It's the best thing ever.
It's coming from somebody who I spent a lot of time on online communities, like from when I was like 17 years old. I was balls deep in this Coheed and Cambria online forum, and then it was the gaming community GSN, and then it was Twitch. So it was just like a snowball of communities that I was going through. And it wasn't, I remember when we first started talking, and then like the first conversation came up to where we wanted to meet up. It wasn't out of the ordinary for me, like whatsoever. And then I remember like when I told my mom that I was going to another state to meet somebody that I had met online, her first question was, Nicholas, how do you know this isn't a man? Like that was her very first response. And she could not believe that I was going to meet somebody that I met from the internet. It was so left field, out of this world. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just going to meet somebody. It's like, it's totally normal. So it is awesome. It is fucking awesome. And sharing that story with other people is always a good time too, because they're like, oh yeah, we just, I got a flat tire and then, some person drove by and then we went out. I was like, oh yeah, well, I met my girl on the internet. That's
exactly how my parents met.
Is it really?
Yes.
No shit.
I think it's funny because like on a, in general, like a lot of people are searching for other people on like Tinder and applications like that, or Facebook or wherever. Like, I think at the end of the day, if you just do something that you enjoy, like I enjoy playing games and I enjoy hanging out on Twitch, and I met Casey through both of those things. And it's like, because of that, we both share those things in common. So like a date night for us, we just sit and we play games. It's like when we're not on stream, we're sitting and playing games together, and it feels like a normal date. Like we go out and do stuff here and there, but in most cases, it's like, hey, what are we doing tonight? And she's like, oh, we're going to level our WoW characters. And I'm like, fuck, yes, yes.
All right, let's fuck, and then we can WoW.
So it's interesting. Do you have like a similar, like, what's a typical date night for you and Weenie?
Either involves food or video games. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty close. Or both at the same time, right? Lately, because we both, so she streams Monday, Wednesday, I stream Tuesday, Thursday, and then we were doing party nights on Fridays. So Monday through Friday, we were both doing our own thing or doing that thing together. So Saturday morning would come, I would stream, and then I would also have the podcast on Sunday. So usually in between, I'd be like, I just can't play video games. I just can't. It's actually, if I'm not playing video games with Weenie off stream, I'm not playing video games. Like, I do not play video games off stream. And it's kind of just like one of the cons that just comes with streaming, because I have other hobbies too that I want to partake in. You know, like playing video games on Twitch is not my number one thing. It's like usually if we hear something about like a new restaurant or a good restaurant that's out, we'll go out and eat. Watching Twitch or YouTube is like obviously one of our huge hobbies that we do together. We're just playing games.
Yeah. So in like even today's a great example of it. There was this Rainbow Six Invitational. It was like the biggest event for Rainbow Six during the year. And we woke up, turned it on the TV, and then we just sat and hung out. Like we were hanging out and watching it all day. And then Casey went and she took the dog out and she started texting me and she's like, "Oh my God, they're banning these operators because of this guy." And I'm like, damn, she's catching on to this stuff. So it's cool. It's cool because it's like typically like in my past relationships, it's like you don't really have like the thing that you most you flock towards when you have free time, which is typically gaming, or you know, if you like reading and you're not into gaming or whatever your vice or whatever your thing is. If you go to that thing, you should probably find someone else that shares that with you, because it's like when you can do that together, it's like you're sharing that communal time, but you're not being pulled away from something that you'd rather be doing.
Right. And so, I don't know if this is the same for you. And if it isn't, I don't think you're going to announce it live with your girlfriend watching. There's always people that I hear them say, "Oh, you need to have your separate hobbies so that you can have time away." And somebody could argue that Weenie and I are still in the honeymoon phase. We've been dating for 2+ years now. But because we both do the things that we love and they involve spending time with each other as well, I never feel like I need a break, because I'm always doing the things that I want to do, because the person that I love and the person I spend time with is also doing the things that they love. They just happen to be the same things. Yeah. So once in a blue moon, I'd be like, going to play video games with the guys. I can't stand you today. See ya. But it's super rare that I feel like I need those moments. And I can't remember, maybe we're talking about relying on your significant other to complete you as a human. I'm very forgetful. I have to write down everything. I have to set calendar events for everything. I can't remember who I was talking to. Weenie might have been there. Somebody was saying how they like didn't know. Nope, she wasn't there, because I just remembered. I had this conversation at work. There was some girl who was single, messing around on Tinder a lot, got ghosted by somebody, and has been trying to find somebody to date for a while. And I'm like, okay, so what are the things that you love to do? And she spouted them off. And I'm like, okay, when are you going to do those things out and about? Or do you make any plans to do those things outside of your house? She goes, no. I'm like, well, listen, if you spend all of your free time doing the things that you love to do, you will eventually run into somebody else with similar interests that could possibly equate to in a relationship. And I remember I had an old roommate who he worked, went to the bar, and like came home, and that was kind of his life for a super long time. And I was in another relationship at that point, and I was like, dude, if you are just going to try and find people at the bar, the chances of you finding like a great person at the bar is slim. It's less than if you were to do it somewhere else, because what kind of people go to the bar mostly? The small percentage are completely emotionally stable and sane people who just like going to bars. And then there are the lonely, there are the reckless, there are the angry, and all the other things. Most people that congregate where the sole point is to get fucked up, most of the people aren't in the greatest of places. So if you go to those places to look for somebody, you're probably going to find something along those lines. So I'm like, dude, just do the things that you love, and then you'll most likely eventually run into somebody.
And I mean, wait, what's the rush anyways? You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, when Casey and I first met, I wasn't looking for anything in general. And then we're just like, hey, how's it going? And we were talking for a while, and I was going into her stream, she was coming into mine. And I'm like, hey, you're actually really cool and I like you. So then she's like, hey, you're cool too and I like you. And we're like, all right, that's it.
Let's do it.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're all products of our environment. So anything that we, tend to do, we're going to continue to do. So if you meet someone, for me, it's like if your passion is racing go-karts and you go and race go-karts and you run into someone that you meet racing go-karts, they probably enjoy racing go-karts. You know what I mean? Or else they wouldn't be there, or they were having a really shitty time and you were the only redeemable factor there. But if your passion is that thing, then at the end of the day, they're going to, when you're like, hey, what do you want to do Friday night? And she's like, and you're like, hey, I really want to go race go-karts. And she's like, I hate that shit. And
Yeah,
you're like, well, now I can't do the thing I want to do. So,
or the girl that you met was only at the go-kart place because her current boyfriend was the one who loved go-karts and she just got dragged there.
Yeah.
Now, with that said,
that's consistent.
I can't confirm this, but I think the roommate that I was just talking about ended up meeting his current girlfriend at a bar. So like it's kind of like it comes full circle. And he's pretty happy right now. But it's just like it all depends like what. Like it's so much better to just find the thing that you love and spend the most time doing it, because in the end, and it's not, everybody's different, obviously, right? Like some people just like to have that stuff separate, but I think I don't really feel the need to be like, oh, I need to have my separate thing. Like I need to have my space because I'm always doing what I love. But I guess that's probably the key in the first place, right? Is finding somebody who lets you do things on your own, if without losing their shit, like you're not spending time with me.
The guilt trip I hate.
Yeah,
so especially when you're like you naturally enjoy something that doesn't necessarily cost a bunch of money. Like I've had girlfriends in the past where it's like we'll spend $100 a weekend because we're just doing stupid shit that neither of us are really that impassioned about, but in reality we don't share anything. So it's like when we're forced to go out and do something that is interesting to us. We're like Casey and I, we're just like we can do, and it's not just gaming, which is more interesting. Like we're both in the creative industry, so we have creative jobs, and there's a lot of overlap there. I'm more digital than she is, I think, in a lot of cases, and she's more of a traditional artist that has like that overlap into art. But there's like this kind of middle ground that we're both like tiptoeing into. So it's both work and food and in gaming and all this other stuff that's kind of like, come up. And it's not like we don't have this one anchor. So it's been really cool to have that. So it's interesting because you also have a similar background. Like we're kind of similar in a way. So we're very similar in a way, but I think that it's cool to kind of like see the different dynamics of it and how people go through kind of like that, they're dealing with it in their way and solving the issues. Because I know that like Twitch in general is a huge time requirement to be able to stream consistently, to be on Twitch, to be a producer, to produce content in any respect, especially when, you have a huge list of people or, any list of people that are relying on you every day or every week to put out this content because they either enjoy you as a person or they enjoy watching your content.
Right.
It's a huge time requirement. It's a relationship. It's a huge relationship that you have to have with your community. So with both of us, I think, you were mentioning it earlier about how you guys are splitting up the time and streaming on different days, and then you have a day together. What Casey and I have been trying to figure out and kind of balance it just in general is how we can take our time and have overlap so we can play together, but we're not relying on each other to, to have our own image on Twitch and in general, like how we can have our own communities that we can, nurture, but at the same time, how we can, work together and stream together. So I think that it's interesting because it seems like you guys have more of a schedule than, Casey or I, when it comes to Twitch in general and how to like maintain our relationship. Because a lot of the time, during the week, it's like 6:00 at night and we're sitting there and Casey's like, hey, are you going to stream tonight? And I'm like, I don't know. Are you going to stream tonight? And then we're kind of just like, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just play games together and have fun and hang out. Because then it's more, it's more natural for us to like, be talking to each other. And it actually feels like we're spending time together, where when we're streaming, it's kind of like a removed version of that.
Yep.
So it's cool to hear kind of how you guys are breaking it down. Cause I know that in general, and you mentioned it earlier about how streaming games on Twitch isn't something that I'm fully invested in or that interested in. Like it's just something I enjoy. Gaming, it's just an easy thing to do, right? So in general, like Casey and I have been looking at ways that we can collaborate together. I know that you guys are building a crafts room, right? You gotta have a camera set up in there. I saw that.
It's fucking done as of right now. It's done.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm going to take pictures tomorrow and post it up. But yeah, I just finished it and it is, I love this space. I love my office. A lot of great things happening here, both on and off camera. But that room in there right now is fucking pristine. I'm so proud of it. When people see, I still have the before image from when it was just like a shelf and a printer and some like tiny little IKEA. It was one of those box dressers where you get the cloth baskets that go in each pocket. And it's going to blow people's minds what it used to look like compared to what it is now. But I mean, that was 2 years in the making, you know, just like upgrading things and kind of adding things just as we go. But yeah, having when we first started dating, this is probably when we lived apart, and Winnie can correct me if I'm wrong, which you probably will. We streamed on the same days. We both streamed on Tuesdays and Thursdays in our own states. And then we moved in and we were trying to like, you know, you have like this small internal battle. Like we shouldn't stream around each other's schedules because like we're afraid of taking each other's viewers, or, you know, we don't want people to have to choose one stream over the other. But at the same time, we don't want to stream on different days because then we're not seeing each other on those days. Yeah. So Monday through Thursday, like I come home from work, we usually spend like an hour or so together, make dinner, eat, and then we split ways. And what's good about that is when she's streaming, I can get work done. And then when I'm streaming, she can get work done. So it's like between those 4 days, we both have days where we have 2 to play and 2 to work. And then we used to do the Friday party night on a weekly basis. And during the winter, it's good. But during the summer, having a dedicated night, like an evening/night event that's every single week, it's like, man, I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of summer days. And obviously here in Michigan, we don't get a crazy amount of great summer weather days. And so we just, as most recently, we're like, okay, we're just not going to plan party nights anymore. And we're just always going to leave it open. If it's raining and there's no plans, we can stay in and we can dual stream, or we can stay and we can just play video games. But I was like, it really seems like doing Monday through Friday of gaming and or streaming of some sort just ended up being kind of too much. And then, of course, I stream Saturdays and then I do the podcast on Sundays. So it was like, okay, just take a step back.
Yeah, that's honestly, we're kind of in the learning phase of that. I mean, we've moved in together at the end of November. So it's like for us, we're looking at like how we can best manage our time because we both work from home. I think you and Weenie had a similar situation where that was the case, but you know, we both work from home. So we're like always gravitating around each other. And, you know, when we're gaming or when we're streaming or doing those sort of things, just like you were mentioning, like I want my community to also nurture Casey's community, and she wants the same thing for me. And it's like we, you know, and I think a lot of couples on Twitch and just even in content creating content together is a huge wear on the relationship. It can. Right? You see that on YouTube all the time because it becomes like, you know, like Casey and I will be talking, and like if we wanted to do a podcast or something like that, it would be similar to what you mentioned earlier. It's like, shut your mouth, don't say it. We need to wait for the podcast to talk about this. So we don't want to like withhold the same subjects because I mean, like if you withhold that subject, then we're talking about it on the podcast, but we made an error in our relationship because we're not communicating. We're holding things to present to other people. Yep. Or if we're having a communication, then when we're on stream, it's kind of like we're being fake, and then our real identities don't really come through if we're like talking about that same subject. So I think we're probably going to learn a lot from you and Weenie on this subject. And this is why we, you know, both of us look up to you guys, just so you and Weenie. We love you guys. You guys are so much fun to watch. So it's like,
thank you.
For us, we're just like in Casey, she probably says it quite a bit in Weenie's chat, but she loves Weenie. She thinks she's amazing. So I think, you know, we see a lot of like of us and you guys a little like here and there.
Right.
Probably a lot more than I'm willing to admit, but I think it's cool because like we can kind of like see the way that you guys are doing things and you've worked through it, because we're kind of looking at it in 2 different ways. We can either say fuck it and screw every piece of what we've built individually and just go hard in on having a joint venture and building a stream and doing all these things together, and then using each other's personalities, like our pros and cons that we both have,
Right.
To build a one thing, right? One identity. But I think we both want to continue to build our own brand and image on Twitch and in general. And then we want to be able to take that and have both of our own individual identities and communities, and then funnel them 1 day a week or 2 days a week into one place where, we can share that experience. And I think that, it's a hard thing to kind of figure out and to play with and to go back and forth with, because it's like,
Right.
There's no paved path for any of this on Twitch, because Twitch is such a complicated thing. Everyone that in general, just for anyone that's listening to this, or watching this, that is interesting in becoming a streamer, anyone that tells you they know how to become successful on Twitch is full of shit, and they have no idea what they're talking about. And anyone that claims to have a direction that you can follow, or a step or a process, there's no written, or there's nothing that has been proven to work. So ultimately, do the thing that you want to and see if it works. A lot of people will support you, right?
Yep.
It's a lot different than YouTube, or than YouTube, in the way that if you post crappy content on YouTube, people won't watch it. Where on Twitch, people want to see you post crappy content in some respect, if you're trying, because they want to be able to help and become part of something in real time and see the errors that are happening.
Right. The beauty of live content.
Yeah, I think in general, Casey and I are trying to like figure out the things that work for us, that we can continue to, create value for ourselves, and then also together and overlap that. So it's interesting that you were talking about how you and Weenie were, offsetting the days because that's a conversation that we've had. It's like, if both of us are streaming, we have a lot of overlap with the people that watch us.
Yep.
So it's like, I don't want to. It's like mom fighting dad for the kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, I don't want to force people to be in that awkward situation, and I'd rather provide value to her stream whenever she wants me to come on, when she's just doing the IRL stuff. Where it needs to, like, we want to be able to reciprocate that push and pull from each other, to be able to to help each other grow, instead of like slowly creeping up one step at a time.
Right. And there's so many other things that are out of your control too, that A, can just cause strain on a streamer, and B, that can cause strain on a relationship. When you have stupid people in chat that are bouncing between the two channels and like taking clips from their channel and putting it in yours, like, oh my God, your girlfriend just got donated $500. Everybody come look. It's like, there's stupid shit like that can happen. And then it just breeds resentment where there normally would not have been. So I'm not, you're not like, you shouldn't dual stream, but there's so many things that you have to kind of be ready for, or in the right mindset for, because if you don't have, I don't want to say thick skin, but if you don't have the ability to deflect certain things, they can just kind of like, just like a seed, they just get planted in you and then they grow.
Yeah.
And that kind of feeds back into, have you ever heard me talk about why I do reduced alerts on my multiplayer and multi streams?
I think I've listened a little bit, especially like when we're doing the podcast and stuff. You don't want it to interrupt what the other person's doing, right?
Right.
That's kind of the core of the idea.
So in my head, so now when I do multi streams, or if I do a stream where I have friends that are playing with me, all of my alerts are shortened to maybe a half second. Like, and you know how long and epic like my subs and my raids and all that stuff are. Yeah. So super shortened, because I found that when you're dual, like the whole point of me wanting to dual stream or multi-stream with somebody, or do a multiplayer stream, is I want to spend time with the person that I'm having on with me. Not spend half of the time thanking subs and tips and like welcoming in people. It's like, okay, I can put the dream job, I can put the career on hold for a stream and just enjoy some video games with the people that I'm playing with. So now whenever I'm playing with Weenie, or if I have somebody else on, all alerts get shortened, they're all quieted, just so I can spend that quality time with the person that I want to. Because I've dual streamed with people who have no multi-stream etiquette whatsoever. And it is the fucking worst. It's the worst. It's worse than trolls. It's the worst. It gets bad really, really fast. So
for Casey and I, it's I think our biggest struggle in general is that Casey's way, 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 way better than I am with reading chat and staying consistent and building relationships. Like, she's a much better community manager than I am. I think her Discord can kind of speak to that. Like mine, you see like 3 posts every month. And it's usually Dover, my buddy Dover, who all he does is post in the meme channel. So it's just lists of memes that go unseen. And then on hers, there's conversation happening. It's because she's committing to that. But when we're dual streaming, when we want to do, like, let's say we stream together, 3 or 4 times a week, it becomes a thing where like there's an objective in the game to create that, to entertain. And a lot of the time, like, let's just say for numbers, we have 10 viewers collectively. And we're sharing, in a lot of those cases, we're sharing a lot of those viewers. Some will tilt over to her channel because she's being more she's communicating with them. And I'm not reading chat or I'm playing the game. So I'm kind of the polar opposite of what she's doing. But in general, what happens is like it pulls away from, because so she's communicating with chat. I'm not communicating with chat. We're not on the same page with that. And then it pulls away from both of our experiences because she's doing a really good job of, communicating with the people that are watching the content. But then I'm not doing that piece of it. So I'm just kind of in a waiting phase and kind of like a holding phase.
Right.
The same thing happens backwards. Like it actually happened with our last stream. We were playing WoW together. And then at a certain point where like I was gone for like 20 seconds. So she was waiting for like the next step of what we were supposed to do. And I was busy explaining something. So I think for us, what we're looking at doing, and just the way that I see that the success will come with, managing all of these different tasks, alerts, or chat, or whatever these influences might be that are happening on the content of the stream in general, or on the people that are producing the content, especially when we have 2 separate streams.
Right.
The way that I look at it is, it's like we need to have days where we're just doing stuff on our own, so we can create those relationships with the community, and then give ourselves an opportunity to communicate with them. And then one day a week we might do something where we just go and cook together, right? And then we pull all the cameras out. And screw chat. Maybe we'll read you guys like 2 or 3 times. We love you guys, but we're not screw right off. We don't need to read you guys. But I think in general, like what's more valuable it comes down to like what's more valuable to those viewers. Is it more valuable that we're communicating directly with them, or is it more valuable for them to see our relationship as the producers of that stream?
Absolutely. And then your happiness when you're done streaming, like when the cameras are shut off, what actually happens. So wait, you guys stream together, like, or you did stream together like 3 or 4 times a week?
Yeah. So we were trying, because it's just like I said, there's no paved path of how this is all working. So we're like, we can stream every day together. Then we tried it, and it's like, and she's more of an advocate actually than I am. She's like, hey, like I want you to go and stream this game. You can go play Rainbow Six. She loves Rainbow Six, but she's not ready to stream it yet because a lot of the time she has people telling her how to play games, and she hates that.
My God.
So
Rainbow Six community, you fucking suck. You are like Overwatch. I thought Overwatch is bad. Yeah. Oh my God. And again, take that with a grain of salt, but holy shit. If the general consensus of Rainbow Six community players is that a lot of them, not player wide, like gameplay skill wise, but just a like toxic community. There's the backseating, the gatekeeping, the hacking, the team killing.
I think what it comes down to, especially with Siege, is that, like, sure, it's toxic, but it's not like CSGO toxic, where people will just be like, oh my God, you suck at this game. At least in my experiences. I know that everyone has their separate experiences, but in general, what I found is that the learning curve for Siege is so much more dramatic than any other game that's out there.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, like you can learn the maps, but all of a sudden someone's now put a hole in a wall and then you're getting shot from a baseboard. Right. And it's like, how do you plan for this? Like there's a hole in the baseboard the size of like a quarter, and you don't have the pixels on your screen to be able to see that. So I think in general, like you can learn the maps, but there's so many ways that you're able to do different things that for the viewer, like a lot of these, like, cause I'm a part of a few different communities, like Amphi's one of them that, are mains in Siege. So they know how everything works. So there's like different like Valk cam placements and all these different strategies that you can do. But the learning curve, once you learn the maps, it's like there's a billion different ways that you can prepare the different layout of the map. So a lot of the time, like people want to be telling you what you should have done or what this or that or what rotation points. And it's like, man, it's so much to learn. And then you multiply that. Like if you look at CSGO, there's like 5 active maps people actually play. Dust, Mirage, maybe 2. Dust and Mirage. I don't know. Like Inferno, you have like a handful of maps that get played.
Cobblestone.
There's like 15.
Yeah, there's a lot.
and there's holes in every wall that you could hit a baseboard and you're good to go.
Right.
And then you have all the dynamics that you'd have in a game like Overwatch, where you have, you know, all of these different operators or these different heroes that have different traits that change the map completely. Like if you have a Mira on any map in Siege, it completely changes the layout and the way that you can enter a building. So I think in general, yeah, Siege, you know, has a history of being a game that's toxic, but in general, I think what it comes down to is there's so much of a learning curve there that, you know, it's not like once you break through the barrier of understanding the maps and this and that, like you can never catch up to the people that are actually educated in the game. So as a streamer, everyone's trying to tell you what you should do, and a lot of the time if you invite those people to play with you, you're just going to have them telling you what to do instead of actually enjoying the game and producing something that is entertaining.
Well, first, you got to convince me to invite people from chat to play video games on stream. Yeah, right, dude. I mean, we've done it a few times, but it's risky business. A lot of people can do it very, very well without any problems. And like Amphy's one of the guys that are like, I just experienced the toxicity of the game through him. Just like seeing his Twitter feed, watching him play live.
It sucks because he's such a nice guy. He's like the most beautiful guy ever. Like, how can anyone not like him? He recently had someone go on Reddit and sign up as Amphy as his tag, and then post a bunch of stuff about how he's the best and no one is as good as him. And it wasn't him, but then you have pro players like Pengu who are responding to it, and it's like it you know. So there is a bunch of stuff that's weird with that community, and obviously, like you brought up a good point about the liability of having other people play with you. I've had all of my own experiences with that, not just with Siege, but with other games in CS:GO and with especially Fortnite, because you know you have a much younger and broader community that watches Fortnite. Maybe not.
Oh yeah,
you're dead, but. We'll talk. That's our next subject.
Are people watching Fortnite still? Yeah,
maybe. But in general, I think the most interesting thing is just like you'll have a lot of faith in people that you play with. Like you can play with them like 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and you're like, hey, this is someone like the system for just for people that are listening. The system for a streamer is okay. I'm gonna play with this guy one time. I'm gonna be super skeptical. He's not really going to say anything, and I'm just going to feel him out. And then I'll play with him again a few times. And eventually you get like a reliable person that you can play with that's not toxic or racist or some, you know, shenanigans that you don't want to deal with on stream. So you have to go through a process of gaining trust with these usernames that are coming in your chat that want to play with you. So at a certain point, and I would recommend for a lot of streamers, don't play with chat. It's a terrible idea. But at a certain point, you respect these people and you kind of get who they are and that they don't want to diminish their reputation with you. I had an event in Siege, actually, where I was like, all right, hey, let's all do 5-mans, right? Everyone always wants to play. I was like, okay, we're going to do 5v5 custom server so everyone can play with me. And it's going to be fun. We had 2 separate Discords for each team. So 5 players in each Discord. And on the other side, we had a couple people playing. And then one of the kids that I had played with in the past, he was dropping the N-bomb while playing in that Discord. So I'm getting messages from people through Discord, and they're like, hey, this is what's going on. And I'm blind to it because I'm on my team, like orchestrating and talking to the 4 people that I have that are reputable on my side. And I'm getting messages like, hey, I can't play anymore because this person's being this and that. So it's like, well, it's such a liability, but even that wasn't obviously that wasn't that crazy of an impact directly to the stream because, you know, the stream, you know, isn't necessarily hearing that because I'm not in that Discord.
Right.
But in general, like all those other 4 people that are part of that Discord playing in the game, you know, it's my reputation that's on the line, right?
Absolutely.
So, and there's a few people that haven't come back since then because this person was being toxic that was a part of the community, right?
Wow.
So it's crazy having, you know, especially with these multiplayer games, Fortnite, Siege, and, you know, some of the other ones. It's, you know, Twitch has a you know, a massive opportunity opposed to these other platforms that, you know, rely on VODs or VODs, where you can incorporate that interaction with other viewers and other people that want to be a part of things and build those relationships. But in general, you know, for me, especially, I'm looking now for ways that I can incorporate other people that to be a part of the stream, but not necessarily an immediate connection and an interaction where they're, you know, talking or playing immediately in that game.
Right.
So,
yeah, I haven't done. We've done a couple community nights. can't remember when the last one was, but I've seen, I haven't experienced it personally a lot. It's happened quite a bit, but it obviously hasn't happened in a while because I've been playing single player games for the past year and 2 months. But it there's so much room for shit to go wrong when it comes to inviting people, not even just people from chat, because I've had people that I've been playing games with for years, and then you get them on stream in Discord or TeamSpeak once, and they just fly off the handle. It's like this whole other person comes out of the woodwork. It's so weird.
It's strange, right? It's like a violation of what you expect from the person, right? And it's like, what just happened? Like, how did this happen?
Right. And things that you wouldn't think happened or things that you didn't think would bug you, like somebody else in voice comms reading and addressing your chat for you, like before you even get to stuff, or like thanking subs and tips, and it gets super odd. So I know that I am one of the people that doesn't do sub only games. I don't do a lot of community nights. I don't do a lot of multiplayer. And when I do multiplayer, it's with my girlfriend because that's one of the passions that we share.
It's really reliable.
Right. That too. She hasn't dropped the N-bomb on my stream yet. So I guess I got that going for her.
She's got the green light. She's good.
I know that there was ways to make it work, and it's such a tough topic for me because I have so many amazing people that I have met through inviting people from chat into comms or from a gaming community or whatever. But my threshold for, I don't want to say
patience.
In relationships, like I cannot have any more friendships or relationships. Like I will end up being the person that ghosts you because I will not be able to respond to your messages. I will not be able to hang out. I will not be able to play video games with you. I am going to be a terrible friend. A legitimate, honest, it's not me. It's not you. It's me.
It's me.
Freudian slip. Oh, fuck.
Say it, Naaackers. You don't want to be my friend.
Jesus. And I just don't want to overpromise. And it's the same exact reason why I don't play games on stream that involve having to add people on friends lists, because it's just going to end up you messaging me or expecting some type of after the fact. And I'm not going to be able to be there for you.
It is a relationship at the end of the day with each individual person, and then with chat in general. And actually, Weenie brought something up in chat. I think this is at our previous topic, but it applies to this. It's, like I have, there's a few people recently, even now when Casey and I are, we're close and, we're streaming together and stuff like that, where I've had people for months that are reputable in my stream, and they're really nice to me. And then, we'll have an event where someone that I've been playing with for months, and it's someone that I appreciate. And then at the end of my stream, Casey will come up and she's like, "Hey, that person was being a real asshole." I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "Yeah, and he came over from your chat. He was being awesome in yours. And then he went over to mine, and he started saying these toxic things, and they're being insulting and stuff like that." And I'm like, quit being assholes, everybody. What's happening? This is insane. You guys can't maintain a relationship between two people and not be an asshole. And I'm not, not implying that everyone's like that, but it's weird. There's been a few events like that. And I'm like, I don't know what the gatekeep or what I'm supposed to do as the boyfriend in that situation, because it's a whole new scenario, right? It's I don't want to, if someone is that I have a relationship with, that's that I consider my friend, that I can play with, and they're wonderful and everything in my chat, and I'm only seeing the great parts of them, and then they go and act in a certain way in another chat, and Weenie brought up that she's like, "Hey, if you're banned in Naaackers stream, you bet your ass that you're banned in mine." There's been some events where I've had to do that. I've had to kick people out or ban them because they're acting like assholes in someone else's stream. But it's if they're willing to do that in that stream, it's gonna it reflects negatively on my stream. So we leverage a lot on the people that I think in general, the toxicity levels. We want to have a certain amount of toxicity where we're just being ourselves,
right,
and not being completely PC. But also leverage, our ability to, make sure that, as the presenter, we're keeping people in check when they're getting out of line. But it's hard especially when someone goes from like my chat, and I'm sure that there's been situations where with this in your chat and Weenies, like someone will be fantastic in hers and come be an asshole to you, or vice versa. And it's like, how do we deal with this? Because it's a whole new, kind of unspoken thing. And for me, like a majority, just to put this out there, a majority of the people that have been fantastic in my community have also been fantastic in Casey's. They're like, we have so many wonderful people that support us and that, want to be our friends, that want to communicate with us on the daily. That Casey does a way better job at communicating in general. But, we have so many people that we're sharing in between our communities that are wonderful. But then there's just like these odd few that I don't know what it is, but it's like we have to find, and it's hard, like it's unwritten, right? Just like with most things on Twitch, but like, how do we deal with this like when our relationships with someone else is affecting, our now with our significant others? So it's kind of a weird kind of unwritten space for us, I think.
Streaming couples on Twitch. What do we do? There's been times where we'll dual stream and then somebody new will come in and then we'll end stream and we'll go sit on the couch together and we're like, hey, would so-and-so hanging out in your chat? I was like, yeah, they were awesome. They were such a good time. And then she says, they were fucking dick and I banned them. I'm like, what? Are we talking about the same person? Like, what the hell? But yeah, I mean, there's been lots of instances where somebody's been banned in one of our chats and then they go into the other chat to complain or talk shit. And that's pretty much, you get one strike with that. And then if you talk shit after that, or you just keep going on, then you're just gone, because there's very, very, I won't even want to say that there's very little, there's nothing that you can do in Weenie's chat and get banned that won't get you banned in my chat. Like our morals and our rules are so in line with each other. If
you're getting banned from one of your chats, listen, you're fucking up real bad. Like come on.
And especially, I would say, I think she has way thicker skin than I do. And but back before we moved in together, I would watch her streams and watch the thing. Like, people would come in and be like, yo, Weenie, reverse cowgirl me. And she'd be like, ha, suck a dick. And then she would just go on with her life, not even ban them. And she would just eat shit for like 4 hours straight. No problem. And she takes a lot more shit than I do. Obviously, for one, just being a female on Twitch, you already eat twice the amount of shit than us males do. But yeah, if you got banned over there, you got to be pretty fucking stupid. You got to be real dumb.
You got to be doing some stupid shit. And that's not to say that you guys are, it's not like you guys are condoning toxic behavior, but you guys are having fun with what you're doing. You and Weenie both kind of have a similar, level of, goofing off and this and that. But, I honestly think that it's crazy to think, in my chat especially, it takes a lot. Like, when people first come in, I don't take offense to a lot of stuff. Like, someone could be like, hey, you look like Freddie from iCarly, bitch. And I'd just be like, cool, man.
Yeah,
like,
Freddie's funny as fuck.
Yeah, sick, dude.
I love iCarly, just so you know.
It's wonderful. My nickname in high school was Freddie from iCarly because I looked exactly like him. But
the older brother in that show is hilarious. He has the best sense of humor.
I've never seen it in my life. It's kind of like one of those things. If someone was like, if they call you a nickname, you would just avoid it. Yeah.
So I would take full ownership. Be like, oh, I know exactly who you're talking about, and I love that TV show. Thank you.
Well, what's crazy about it is I used to carry a camera, right? Because I have a background in film and in production, so like I'm the camera guy. So I'm always at like events and stuff, like Red Bull events, filming with a camera, and I look exactly like Freddie. So people are like, "What the fuck is this? A Nickelodeon show?" So it was pretty funny because in high school, like I would have my camera with my picture camera. And people would just they just stuck to it. Like, I'll run into people from high school still, and they'll be like, "Hey, what's up, Freddie?" And I'm like, and they genuinely think that's my name. I'm like, "Oh, sick. What's up, brother?" But like, going back to the original topic, it's like, I don't like, I mean, we're guys, we're men that play video games. I grew up in the video game generation. I played Halo as a kid, Call of Duty. There's nothing that can be said to me in the internet that I haven't heard before. So
right.
Like, in general, when someone comes in and they're just being toxic and annoying, I'm just like, hey, what's up? Like, how's it going, bud? And then they'll say something and I'll be like, that's cool, man. Like, cool, bud. That's some cool shit you got going for yourself, brother. Right. And then people, like, typically it's funny because like they come in and they throw some heat out there. And in general, I'm like, I don't really react to it that much. And then they tend to stay. And I'm like, oh, hey, you're not a piece of shit like I thought you were. And then they typically like hang out for a bit. But
isn't it the weirdest when people come in just real hot and sweaty and mean, and then you're like, well, and they're like, oh, wait, oh, you're okay. Then like, what happened in the past 10 minutes? Why did you come in like that?
Fixing your brain. What is happening?
Oh God.
I've had it quite a few times where it's like, you know, like, and in general, like I have been a troll in my life. I used to troll forums all the time, just to as a disclaimer. Like as a kid, as a little fat little child, I was someone that trolled forums, and I was.
You were not Chubby Cheeks.
I was a Chubby Cheeks. 100%.
Oh no, Casey, we need baby pictures. We need kid pics.
So yeah, so I would troll all kinds of stuff, and I'd just be, you know, I was the typical toxic kid. So I see like a lot of potential in the younger guys that are just like being toxic because they don't understand the impact of that, because I've been there. So I'm not immediately like, okay, here, you can get the hell out of here. But a lot of the time, like there's this one kid that came in a few weeks ago. I can't remember like exactly how long ago, but he was coming in and he just came with some heat. And I was like, I'm sitting there as a streamer, right? Looking over at chat, everyone's being nice and, you know, dandelions and frolicking and everything's fantastic, right? And then someone comes in and is like, oh, you're a stupid piece of crap, blah, blah, and they're just like throwing out all these insults and all this stuff. And I'm just like, so here's a question. How often do you try that? Because typically, obviously your username's not real. You're going to go through 10, 15, 20 different streamers and try to screw with them. And what's the return on just coming out guns blazing right away, right? You're just going to get the streamer. They're going to look at you. You're not going to affect them whatsoever. In a lot of cases, they're just going to look at you and be like, oh, cool. It's like chat roulette. They're just going to switch once they see it.
Yeah. They're next one.
They're gone. Yeah. Next penis. So basically they're just going to let someone, you know, that you're not going to get anything out of that person. So there's this one kid that came in. I'm not going to say the names, but he came in and he's like, just throwing some flame up. And I'm like, hey, like, let me talk to you for a second from a retired troll, right? If you really want to fuck with someone on Twitch, right, and do it in a way that it's funny, because, you know, what are you getting out of just griefing someone for no reason, right? The best way to screw with someone is to go into someone's chat, right? And maybe I should save this for not saying it on a podcast, but you know, you go into someone's chat, you create a relationship where the person knows, like, you know, after 2 or 3 days, they're like, oh, this guy came back, this guy's nice, whatever. He's, you know, he's reliable and he's not just some random troll. And you say, hey, what's up, man? Oh, your mic's muted today. And you just start putting in chat, no, I can't hear you. Because streamers, like, there's so much what you have to understand as a viewer that has never streamed, if you are that person, is that there's so many variables that can go wrong in small problems that then it gives the streamer's going to freak out and try to figure out what the hell's wrong with their setup and go through all of the different sequences to figure out what's happening and what's wrong. And they're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, let me see. And it's going to disrupt what's happening. But then as soon as you put in chat, hey, I'm just messing with you, he's going to laugh because he's looking like an idiot. He's like, but it's not something that's a personal insult. And then you move on and become friends, right? That's a great way to troll someone, because it's an actual interruption to what they're doing. If that's the troll that if your goal is to fuck with someone, find a way to do it where it's actually interrupting something, because as soon as you come out guns blazing, you're getting no return. No one's ever going to look at that and be like, oh God, what is happening? What is this? Like, they're just going to be like, okay, click ban, you're gone, right?
These millennials are so impatient.
They're so impatient, you know, have a structure to your troll. So I think it's I'm probably going to see a lot more of that coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, you just kind of set it up there, didn't you, bud?
Yeah, I kind of screwed myself, but I know that I had a few buddies that when I first started streaming, they would come into my chat and do that constantly, and I knew that it'd screw with me, because there's a lot of times, especially with a dual PC setup, that like at the end of a stream, I would mute my microphone before that, like my outro would go on. So I would mute everything, and then when I start my new stream, a lot of the time I would be muted, or I wouldn't have my bot up. I still never, like, there's a lot of variables that I forget.
Too many.
So, there's so many. So people used to come in, my buddies would come in and they would say, hey, you're muted. And then I'd spend like 15 minutes trying to unmute my shit.
Oh my God.
It was working. And I'm sitting there like, fuck. I'm like, what the hell is wrong? And I'm talking to myself, but they can hear it the whole time.
Right.
So there's a lot of fun, ways to screw with someone, but millennials are so impatient, I feel, or a lot of these kids that are trolls are so, they want that instant gratification of
Right. I want them to cry now.
I want them now, which is never gonna work. It's never gonna work. So
Gotta play that long con, man.
yeah, you gotta play the long con. So anyone that's listening that wants to become a troll, hit me up. BishopGP.
Yeah, I need to not I need to. I always look for when anybody says anything like can't see gameplay, mic's muted, blah blah blah. I need to see at least 5 messages in chat before I actually go and check. Because I don't fucking believe you. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no way. You're not kidding me with this.
You have PTSD from people screwing with you at this point. I have the same. I'm like, fuck off. If someone comes in and they're like, hey, your mic's muted, I'll be like, fuck you.
No,
and then
sorry.
If they can't hear me, I get away with saying fuck you to one of the viewers.
Right. It's just a win-win, right?
It's a win-win, yeah.
There's only been like what, because now as soon as somebody says, hey, something isn't working, I go like this. I can go, yeah, it is. Like I know that fast just because I know this setup. But for whatever reason, actually, I know exactly the reason. So for probably, I would say 3 months, my desktop audio in OBS and my audio mixer, the green bar was moving like I was getting audio, but no audio would go through to the stream. I was like, so what the fuck? So as my workaround, I went audio out of my streaming PC and into my mixer and then sent the audio back to the stream PC as like a workaround. And then months and months and months went by of me. So I would have desktop audio and mic aux 2 that were always in sync with each other. So, but I always knew channel 1 was muted. And then I was messing around with my capture card one day and I went into my settings and realized that my desktop audio was set to mute output.
Oh my God.
For months, fucking months. And so a raid would come in or a sub would come in and the lights would be going. I'd be camera switching. The music's going off. No audio. Just like complete silence and then just faint like me going,
oh my God.
They'll be like mouthing the words to the song. So fucking, there's so many clips that my community has got of me just dancing to no music. You can hear the chair squeaking around.
God.
Terrible.
There's one of my alerts, or actually, so I like being someone that every few months or so, like I'll be committed to Twitch for here and there for a while, like 2-3 weeks. And then all of a sudden I'll have to go and do big work projects. So I'll just disappear. But I come back and a lot of the time that variable, I keep forgetting what the setup is, right? When you're not doing something consistently, typically you'll fall out in some respect of, how you go through the process, right? You'll forget something. So in general, like I'm always in that phase because I'm always dropping out of stream and then, getting back into streaming. So there are like my alert is this gospel music that's like, are you ready for a miracle? And like dancing. And part of what I used to do, I don't do it anymore because I've been embarrassed so many times about dancing to no music, but I'm like this. I'm like, woo! And then I'll do like little sounds like, woo, ah, yeah, woo. So there's probably about a half dozen clips out there of me doing that. And people are like, LOL muted, lol muted, lol muted. And it's funny to me because I'm like, fuck, why did I do this? What have I done to myself? But man, it's funny. There's if you want to, the more and more things that you add to add depth to the quality of your stream in general, like if you want to have a higher production quality, whatever it is, right? All the little add-ons. If you want to have lights that react to alerts, like if someone subs, your lights change colors. Everything like that is going to fail. Everything.
Yeah.
Your microphone's gonna fail. Your streaming PC is gonna fail. If you're gonna have 2 streaming PCs, it's good. They're both gonna fail. If you're gonna have a gaming PC, the game's gonna crash. There's so much variable. Like you can have fail safes, like having a second PC or a second streaming PC. If the game you're playing or your computer that you're playing on crashes or blue screens or whatever it is, at least your stream's still up. There's so many variables. The more you add as a safeguard to that, there's more variable for things to screw up.
Right.
So in general, if you want to become a streamer and you want to have all these cool things, the problem is that they have to be sustainable for multiple hours on end and be reliable day in and day out. Because in general, you want to have something that's turnkey, that's easy to do, that you can sit down and you don't have to rely on all this other stuff to support what you're doing. Because the more stuff you add, I know it, as we look around our place.
Shit, man.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, for real.
There's so many variables that can screw up, and the more stuff you add, the bigger the hole you're digging yourself. Because as soon as one thing goes wrong, you have to go through like a 15-step process to figure out what happened.
Yep. Every God, fucking technical difficulties, man. They're the bane of my existence. I've learned like the amount of audio shit I could turn every single knob and unplug every cable from my mixer and put it back together, no problem. Yep. Just from streaming. I had no audio knowledge whatsoever before I started streaming, and now it's like easy peasy. So I'm grateful in that aspect. But man, if like, have you ever thought about how, let's take, for example, computers. In the business world, in the technology world, there are consumer grade laptops, the $300 Acer laptop at Best Buy, or there is the business class $900 HP Elite book, right?
Yeah.
Totally different hardware. One laptop is a computer hardware from 6 different companies, all just smashed together into a computer. And then one is actually just really, really decent hardware. We have people that are making lifelong wages in a year's time on consumer grade hardware. Some people have some super nice cameras or, maybe like a decent computer, but all of the hardware for the most part that streamers run on is all like consumer grade. Yeah. For the most part. A lot of people have some really high-tech shit, but we're basing these hobbies, like these careers, off of these very finicky setups.
Yep.
I don't know how we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. I mean, so my background just in general, like I've been around broadcasting and live streaming before Justin TV was a thing. And the company I was working for, my dad started this company called Origin Digital back in the day, and they're doing live broadcasting and broadcast technologies. And before I knew I wanted to produce something in content. I was always at filming stuff and stuff like that, and producing content just in general. I just didn't know what I wanted to sink my teeth into. I was always interested in marketing, and my dad gave me this internship, and he's like, "Hey, come and and out here and do this and work for this company." And at the time, I was like, "What the fuck are they doing? Why do I care? There's nothing about the technology that makes any sense to me. I don't give any shit about it. It doesn't mean anything to me. All I want to do is I want to make content that's really cool, right? And just make cool things." I was going out to racetracks just to film race cars because I thought they were cool. So after doing that, his company was the company that launched all the back end technology for Red Bull TV, Justin TV, all of the like CBS Sports and all of these different technology brands. So I was a part of that. And eventually I moved into media operations. So I got to see like the back end of all this stuff kind of evolving. So for me, I was like seeing all this stuff evolving and coming to fruition. And then I remember Justin TV became a thing, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like playing games on the internet. That's so interesting. And then eventually it continued. So at that time, I actually registered my username way, way, way back in the day, which I should have registered something that I actually would have used, but I was using my gamer tag, which back in the day was colored bananas. So I was like, okay, this is going to be, this will have longevity. So when I first started streaming, actually like a year ago, I was using that tag, and then someone came in and it's like, that's some racist shit. I was like, oh, fuck. Like I never thought of it like that. I was like, oh my God, okay, I got to change it. So I changed it to BishopGP. I was like, man, I cannot use that name. So just in general, like my background, like being able to see like all this different technology, like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, we were using for doing these, like a simple production like we're doing right now. We had to pull like an entire an encoder, like these big rack mounted units.
Yeah.
And run the cables to them and all this different production equipment. We had to have a production switcher. I remember at the time I was like, hey, I would really like to do like small broadcasts of go-kart races, like of all these amateur action sports. And I was like, man, how can I do it? What equipment do I need? And I remember putting the bill together just to figure out how I could start just going out to like a race or like a paintball tournament or something like that, these amateur action sports and like X Games type stuff. And I remember the bill was like $45,000 just to get like baseline broadcast streaming equipment.
Holy fuck.
Like, this is expensive. So and at the time GoPro was promoting this like Wi-Fi backpacks that they could stream from.
Yeah.
And they never had that ability, and it just never became a thing. So at the time I was like, I was seeing all this stuff come to fruition, and then I kind of took a hiatus from the live streaming industry. I was always dove into it. I was working on the back end. I used to watch like 15 women's basketball games every day for CBS College Sports. I used to just sit there and make sure that nothing went wrong. And if something went wrong, someone would call me on the phone. I'd be like, oh, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, they just mess with the back end of this encoder and reset it, and it should work. It's crazy because like I used to do the job of whenever one of these streams goes live, I was the guy that was like receiving the stream and figuring out what to do with it. And then, managing that broadcast where nowadays it's like you have, how many people are streaming? Like a million?
Millions.
At any time?
Yeah.
Millions of people. So
I think there was I think in 2018, 3.5 million people like went live, like unique users went live in 2018.
That's insane. So imagine like if it back like 10 years ago, there would have been one person on the back end or maybe for every 10 streams, right? So like we're sitting and managing every one of those things. That's the business back in the day when Justin TV used to be like when it first came to fruition.
Wow.
So I was that guy, and like little did I know, I knew not like I was playing with Teradeks, I was playing with encoders, I was playing with all this different hardware equipment. That was like $10,000-$15,000 of the stuff that no one else had. In the interim, I was focused on marketing and how to tell stories and stuff like that. But I was learning about all this technology. So eventually it came to a point where I was sitting here, like in my, in my last apartment, in the one prior to that. I remember sitting there and I was looking at all the equipment that I have for like filming stuff and producing content. And I was like, holy shit, I have a lot of stuff that I've never, like all this broadcast equipment that I could just plug in and see if this works like this. And eventually I got it to a point where I had like a wireless camera roaming around my apartment. This is probably in like 2012 or 2013. I had a wireless camera going around where I could see it back, through VLC, and I could see the video stream playing. I was like, man, that's super cool. Now, like the way I was thinking about it was like, now I can see this stream and maybe record it. So I have all these wireless cameras that are moving around, and I can switch between it. But yeah, it came to a point where I was like, man, there's so much interesting stuff that can happen with live broadcasting just in general. And I had like a super early like foot in that I didn't even know what was happening at the time because I had no idea what was going on. And then little do I know, like on my resume now, it's like I have, Red Bull TV, Red Bull Stratos when Felix Baumgartner jumped from space. Like I was working on part of that project.
No shit.
Like all of these little tiny niche projects that like I had like a small part in them, but I was a part of like the pioneering of live broadcasting and just in general. And then now I'm like, okay, I'm just like this average guy like that's streaming on Twitch, and people reach out to me. They're like, where the hell are you getting all this equipment and all of like your knowledge and stuff from? I'm like, nowadays you can just have a computer to do the job that like a $50,000 encoder could do 6-7 years ago. So
and
it's
just
weird seeing
that too. And just like the evolution of the technology that we have, Weenie is, because of the bedroom and office swap, Weenie is now rebuilding her entire setup in her office. And she's like, oh man, I really wish I could do VR streams. I'm like, you can. And she goes, how? I was like, you just NDI the footage back to your streaming PC. Done. Because we have because I have the VR from the living room comes back into this PC. It's like, if I'm not using my computer, you play games on mine, and then you just NDI both the gaming audio, the video, and your audio back to your PC, and boom, you're done. Add a couple seconds or a couple milliseconds of delay to the audio, and you're good to go. And that,
it's mind-blowing.
It's fucking mind-blowing what you can do. My first cooking stream, being able to wear my iPhone on my head with a fisheye lens that screws into my phone and then NDI it back to my streaming PC in my office. Yeah. That kind of shit is absolutely insane.
It's game. Honestly, it's like having, having my hands on it from like the day one of what it would take to do a normal production, like just to go out to a high school event and film a bunch of kids playing basketball. That setup nowadays, you can get in a laptop with the free piece of software, by the way, Jim. Thank you. For Jesus, guys, come on. OBS is doing it all for us.
Jimmo! This is you, dude. God. Dude, it was so amazing to be able to sit down with him for a couple hours and just chat, dude.
It's mind-blowing. It's unreal, right?
It just that one, and obviously the help of other people, but just like hear about him, his start in life, development, and how just like where he is. It's so crazy to me that he isn't as well known as he should be. Like OBS is known, excuse me, OBS is known, but him as a person is very behind the scenes. And he obviously prefers it that way. He doesn't like having like a big, kind of, I don't want to say out of bounds personality, just big personality. He doesn't want to be out on the forefront.
Eccentric, is that the word? Eccentric?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, something. I don't know if that's an
something like that.
Sorry, Jim.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the fact that you can load up, and that's the other thing. NDI and OBS both free, and you can set up an amazing stream going from device to device to device.
Yep.
The possibilities are. I remember. I planned this, but I never did it. When I first set up the craft room, I have the camera that hangs out over top. If I ever wanted to do mail time, instead of sitting here with a box trying to fumbling with a knife and shit, I could just go, okay, let's head to the craft room, walk over there, use the mic that's in that room, use the overhead camera in that room, and just do a top-down view of opening packages. And you can just do that so easy and you just have to have two computers, a camera, and NDI, and you're done.
It's unreal. It's unreal. I remember back prior to working at Origin Digital, they I remember capturing when Fable first came out. Right? I think it was Fable 2, I believe. I got a computer with a capture card, and I remember buying the one that was had what is it? Just the 3 colored yellow, red, and white video inputs. It's
not
like
composite.
It's something like that.
No, it is composite component. I think it's composite component.
Something. One of those cables, the colorful, stupid cables that dinosaurs use. Okay, best way to describe it.
Yeah.
But I remember filming or recording myself play Fable. And I was like, this is going to be sick. People are going to love this. Like, this is the first time this gameplay has been recorded. And this is like back in the day before YouTube gaming was a thing. This is, and I remember recording and I was like, man, this is what people are putting up and what people want to see, because it wasn't available. It was a super hard thing to do and record to record gameplay. And nowadays, like the fact that, it's really, really, really simple, but it's so simple that it's hard to understand that it's actually a thing. Like the fact that I get hit up all the time about people asking me how to stream, like my friends that, know that I stream, or, someone that, in an industry like, hey, how do I use OBS? How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I capture the gameplay? How am I supposed to capture my camera? It's like, listen, download OBS. It's free. It's easy. All you have to do is add a few sources, a few different scenes, and play around with the way things are laid out. And you're able to produce something that has literally been impossible for the past million years in human history.
I like go for the million
years ago. They were streaming. 1,000,001 years ago. It's like in what is it? Futurama, when the world gets destroyed and then they come back in a loop and then the world's rebuilt and totally fine. Like when there's an apocalyptic event, they'll be like in a time machine, right? So everyone piles in the time machine and it speeds forward, and then you see how like the world grows and then it gets destroyed again, and then like a million years later it just grows back into the same thing. So it's just a loop. Yeah, that's what's happened.
That's streaming.
That's what's streaming. Best way to explain it.
Well, I mean, believe it or not, we're getting to like the hour and 50 mark, but we got to do the Q&A first. But before we get into the Q&A, do you know how we met, through what string of people that we met?
Yes.
Okay.
So back in the day, I was, the first stream that I ever watched on Twitch was, oh my God, I'm going to forget his name.
How dare you?
No. Oh my God, I'm going to forget his name.
If it ends up being Lyric, I'm going to laugh.
No, it's not Lyric. It's he plays DayZ. I don't know why I'm spacing on his name. Someone's messaging me. Maybe they're going to tell me who it is.
No. There's a lot of DayZ streamers.
I met him, and then he hosted your brother BBR.
Okay.
Your brother through Ember. And then I remember seeing your stream, and I was like, man, this is cool. And I remember at the time I was like, I came into your stream because I think Ember hosted you, and I watched you were I think you were doing the clown thing in the back, and I was like, the fuck is this? This is weird. I remember thinking that, and I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh, was it 6 Max?
6 Max, yes. 6 Max, yes,
okay.
yes. So it was 6 Max. Sorry, 6
Good
Max.
call,
I
Weenie.
love you. Yeah, great streamer. Love 6 Max. Great guy. First guy I ever watched on Twitch. And now I'm kind of a buddy of his. I don't know if I can call myself that, but I talk to him every now and then. He's a good guy. So
then
Six Max,
I wonder, because I know I met Six Max through my brother, but now I'm kind of wondering what came, like, did you meet my brother because of Six Max?
I think I believe so. The first guy I ever watched on Twitch was Six Max. I
Okay.
believe I was watching him and he hosted BBR. But I remember seeing BBR and I was like, oh, that's, he's a great guy, nice guy. And then I had a hiatus from Twitch for a while. And then I came back and I was streaming Fortnite. And there's this guy that was on top of this mountain and he started jumping down. And this is the inception of Fortnite, like before skins were a thing.
Okay.
And this guy was jumping down a mountain. I was like, oh, and I was streaming and Ember was in my stream. And I was like, oh, this guy's going balls deep. This guy's nuts. And I ended up shooting him in the head with a sniper and like walking away. And then all of a sudden BBR came into my stream. I was like, oh, hey, what's up, man? And then I went to his stream the next day. I was like, oh shit, I've seen this guy before. So it's kind of like this weird loophole of like meeting Six Max, meeting your brother, and then meeting Ember, meeting you, going back. And then it's like this weird circle.
It's
and
crazy.
Now, going back to Six Max, I can't remember who, I don't know if it was you. It might've been you that hosted him. I was like, oh my God, this is the same guy. And then it turns out that he knows Amphi. I'm like, okay, hold on.
Yep.
Everyone's just friends.
Yeah,
like, everyone knows everyone. Where have I been this whole time?
I always love hearing these types of stories. I always like finding where the links are and like who met who and how you met people. Because there's some times where you meet somebody and you meet them through a string of 6 other people, but you didn't even know that you were like already like one other person away from them. But you just it just went the long way or some shit.
Like I'll hop into someone's chat on like just a random day. I'll hop into someone's chat that like is completely unknown to to my other friends, right? And all of a sudden I see someone in chat. I'm like, oh my God, wait, that's my buddy. And I'll be like, yo, what's up, dude? And then it's kind of like this thing like, hey, what's going on? But then it turns out that like everyone, to an extent, I feel like in general, like the people that stay on Twitch, it's kind of like, it's like if you go to a bar every single night for a week, you're going to see a lot of different faces, but eventually you start to see the same people. And if you keep going, you're going to continue to see the same people until all of a sudden you're like, wait, I'm a regular. Everyone else here is the only, like when there's someone new that comes in, eventually you're recognizing them instead of, everyone else that's at the party or at the bar.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting because I've met a lot of people through like a really long line of, meeting different people. And all of a sudden people are like, oh, hey, yeah, I also know Amphi. I'm like, dude, Adam's my buddy. Like that guy's sick as hell. And then all of a sudden they know someone else. And it's like, oh, wait, let's all just play games together because, we've all been kind of trying to get together. So yeah, it's interesting how small the community is on Twitch, but the people that, there's different kind of like pockets that break off and, of like different communities that are kind of niche, but in general, like Mikano, I don't know if you know who that is. MCONNO, I think that's his Twitch name. But I remember seeing him back in the day in BBR's chat and then in Ember's chat, and then I go all over the place, and then I'm in like different, like sometimes I'll just pop into like an IRL stream and I'll see him as a mod in there, and I'll be like, what the hell is going on? Like this person's everywhere. He's everywhere. So it's kind of crazy. I feel like the people that are on Twitch in general the most are, they're finding the right people, and the right people are finding the right people. And, to grow on Twitch, like I said earlier, anyone that tells you that they know how to do it is full of crap, because they either got really lucky or they just hit the right timing, whatever it is. There's no factor that consistently works. So I think in general, the best way to grow is just to network with people, because you're going to meet other people through other people. And eventually you're going to build relationships with these people. And then, their communities also tend to overlap quite a bit, right? So that's the gist of it. If you want to grow on Twitch, the easiest way is just to talk to people.
Just go out and make friends.
Yep,
legitimate,
go
genuine friends.
Basketball.
Yeah. Fuck going outside, man.
Way better.
Oh, way better. When I was growing up, and by when I was growing up, I mean from 18 to we'll say 17 to 22, 23. We always have these house party at my buddy Randy's house, and it was just a thing where if everybody was hanging out in the living room, as soon as the door opened, no matter who was there, well, I guess it kind of mattered who was there, but you looked and everybody would look at the door and go, oh, and it would just be every single person that came into the house. It was just greet with screams. Like some people would stand up and like slap ass and hug. And I always try and have that be what it's like to come into my channel, is like you see somebody that you know and you say what up. And that's my favorite part about, like, you go into somebody's stream and you say hello to the streamer, then you say hi to the chat, and then all of a sudden you see all these people that are pinging you and they're like, yo, what's up? And then it's, you know, that classic, like, what that commercial. It's like that, but it's just, oh, that's it. Look at it. Oh, you're here too. Oh, that's it. And
it's like,
that's my favorite part about joining a stream and saying hello and then just seeing all of these people. You just like, it's so great to just congregate and just like read a Bible and, you know, start a cult, all that shit, maybe some witchery and stuff like that. It's always a good time.
it's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I know I have a few times in my life, but it's like, I have different friend groups that have different, you know, interests, you know, so like, I'll have a friend group that I knew from high school, and then I'll have a friends group that, you know, I played paintball with or basketball or whatever it was, right? And you'll go and hang out with that group, you know, and the rest, you don't think that there's any connection happening there, right? And then all of a sudden, someone shows up, and then they're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you recognize them, and then the friend next to you that you think you know is also friends with another friend of yours, and you're like, "Wait, you guys know each other? What's going on here? You guys have been cheating on me? What is this?" And then eventually you realize that it's like, people, there's not that many, as many people as there are in the world. There's not really that many in these niche communities. So a lot of the time there's a lot of overlap, and the people that are most, I would say, that are most valued are the people that put a lot of time into the relationships that they build on the platform. And you can see that, because like if you know, Casey was like, "Oh my God, my boyfriend has more boyfriends on Twitch than girlfriends," which is obviously a good thing. But she's like, "He has more boyfriends on Twitch than, you know, I even know how to count. Like, where are they all?" So I'll go into like Amphi's chat, and then I'll be like, "Yo, what up, Amphi?" Amphi will be like, "Yo, what's up, Bishop?" And then all the chat will be like, "Yo, yo, 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 yo." And then it's just kind of like us all messing around. So
isn't that great?
It's amazing. I love it. But eventually it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I gotta focus on doing my own shit, because it just turns into a circle of us just being like, "Yo, slap ass, what's up, boys?"
Yeah. It's funny you say that. Weenie, I want an answer from you on guys to girls. Who do you think I get hit on by more? Has to be honest, unbiased answer. I already know the answer to this. I'm going to see if she is going to lie or there. Okay, there it is. Oh, for those audio listeners, she said guys, and she is correct.
I think Casey would have the exact same answer. It would definitely be guys.
So, and that's why you kind of have to be nice to everyone, not as in a fake way, but just in a, like, you just don't want to create unnecessary waves for other people. Have you ever had somebody that a lot of the people that you know interact with, but you can't stand them?
Oh, yes.
Isn't that, it's such a weird, it's like, how do I get along with all of these people so well, but they like this person that I can't stand? Such a weird dynamic, but it's something that's actually really, really common with people because you're right. There's a lot of people and there's a lot of bubbles. A lot of those bubbles are like Venn diagrams. They just kind of bleed into each other. And there's just a lot of people that you can get along with. And then there's just a lot of people that you don't get along with.
Yeah, it's just like any other platform, you know, or any other place you're going to be. I mean, in high school, especially, you know, you have these different cliques and bubbles, but then you have these few people that kind of go across, and then it creates doorways to these different communities. I think Twitch is more, I mean, more dynamic than high school, obviously, or any other social place.
Is it though?
Honestly, I was thinking about this the other day, right? Like, we all are on this platform listening to each other talk and play games and stuff like that, not knowing each other's backgrounds, not knowing each other's, like, what our religious beliefs are or anything else. The common denominator comes down to video games and things that we enjoy doing and our passions, right? And I think that provides us with this positive environment for a lot of people where, you know, like, Twitch became a thing. Let's be real. Twitch became a thing during that election, and it's become bigger during this election. And that's the biggest decisive point in, you know, in what CNN or Fox will tell you is the history of the United States. But I think in general, like, Twitch has been this place that's been like this island where everyone can get along, and regardless of what political, financial differences anyone has. Like we can all get along based on the games that we're playing. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I think that that's probably the most valuable thing about Twitch in my mind, is just the fact that, like at the end of the day, like I've made hundreds of friends or dozens of friends that, that I know nothing about on the side of politics or religion or, these things that we can be divided, with, where, I have these relationships and it doesn't matter to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just great people. So I get to know people on the, with this common denominator, which is gaming or the game or the, the design or whatever that thing is that we're interested in, and we're passionate enough to share it with other people. And I think that that's probably the most, the most positive difference about Twitch than any other platform or community that I've seen on the internet.
I could be alone in this thought, but I thoroughly love that it is bad etiquette to talk about politics on Twitch, like in chat and get into this, because every other social media platform, it's 100% okay, and it's a shit show at all times, times. Yeah. And I absolutely believe that politics has a place in our lives. It should be a thing that people talk about. It's a thing that everybody should be aware about. People should be very knowledgeable about what's going on regarding the government of the country that they are living in. However, this place, Twitch, I don't want it here. This is not where I want it. Poison. So I love the fact that for the most part, when it comes to politics, people are just like, no politics, no religion. And I'm like, yes, thank you. All of the people who want to talk about that stuff can go right up a post on your Facebook wall. I don't give a shit.
There's just plenty of places for it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think that's, that's the thing that I think brings a lot of people in on Twitch. Like you see, it's like, let's compare it to YouTube. A lot of people compare YouTube and Twitch, and I hate when they do that. But, for this instance, we'll do it. Look at the chat difference between YouTube and Twitch, right? I mean, obviously one's real time and one's delayed and one's on a VOD basis, but the quality of response and people and just the communication that's happening in general. I mean, there's a lot of people posting stupid shit. Let's be honest. There's a lot of stupid shit, but it's not stupid shit in the way that it affects other people. A lot of the time, sometimes it happens, but in general, I think people, are being, their genuine selves. I don't know if I said that properly, but I like that fact about Twitch, and I like the fact that people can be themselves and people don't have to, hide behind their identity of, what, race they are, or their religion, or their, political preference. So, besides all of that, stupid bullshit that, matters in the real world, but on Twitch, this is our world where we get to focus on things that we're all passionate about, the things that we're driven to do when we're done complaining about everything else. And that's video games and, things that were, the creative, creating things and stuff like that. So I have one more subject, by the way, that we need to talk about. I brought it up on Casey's stream the other day because I was super excited. Apex Legends.
Yeah.
Everyone's super excited, right? Super excited. Everyone's super stoked about it. Most interesting statistic I found with Apex Legends. On the night it was released, Fortnite, which has been at the top of the viewership on Twitch for over a year, has been completely blowing every other game out of the water, has been on every headline, everything like that, was at 80,000 concurrent viewers on Twitch. 40,000 of those were with Tfue. As soon as Tfue went offline, Apex Legends, League of Legends, CSGO, IRL, and I believe two other games were over top of Dota. 2 was one of them, and one other game were over top of Fortnite on Twitch's top line. And it was very interesting to see because that's the first time that's happened in a very, very long time for Twitch.
Do you think this is flavor of the week, or do you think that this thing is going to be made into a statue?
I personally have not played it. From what I've heard from a lot of people, they have been enjoying it. I think that Fortnite, we've seen a lot of other games that are BRs come and go. Fortnite has stayed fresh in those times, and I don't think Fortnite's going anywhere. I don't think that we should all freak out. It's not going anywhere. It's going to take a lot more to get rid of it. I think Black Ops is dead. I think.
Yeah.
I think that because they're so similar that you're going to see a lot of people leaving Black Ops to play another free to play type of game, and also people that are interested in a game that's more first person has an opportunity to play a game that's free to play. So that's awesome. But I think in general it's going to take a lot more to topple Fortnite. It's probably going to take a few more years, which isn't the goal. I hope Fortnite stays on top. They're great. It's a great game. I think it's overplayed in general. But the day that Apex was available, I remember going through my Twitch following list. I think I follow like 300-400 people. But while I was going down, like typically I see like Fortnite, and I saw everyone was playing Apex. So I think in general, what we're going to see is maybe Apex will stay on top for like another couple of weeks, and then you might see a resurgence in Fortnite if there's some sort of update that can bring back some interest. The thing with Fortnite is that it's cross-platform, right?
Yeah, and mobile.
So it's going to be really hard to topple. It's going to be hard to push out of the way. I don't think the Apex is going to have the, they're going to have a sprint. They're sprinting right now, but it's about, maintaining on top. If it's going to take something a lot more different than what Fortnite is to take Fortnite out of the game. But I guess with that being said, what do you think, Naaackers? What do you think is going to take Fortnite off the top?
I think at this point, I think the only thing that is going to overtake Fortnite is a non-BR game. Like, it's going to have to get to the point where everybody is so sick of BR that they are looking for another game and they're just going to jump ship to the next genre. Honestly, with the track record of Epic, their development team, how many changes and how many amazing things they have brought to the table so far, I don't see them slowing down. They might not be, their peak might not be in 5 months from now. They might be plateaued, but I don't think their derailing is going to come until the BR genre is dead. I just don't see it. And when is that going to happen? I have no idea. I think Apex is cool. Haven't played it yet still. And I don't know, like when Apex first came out, I enjoyed watching a couple people play it. Apex brought a lot of things I didn't think I wanted into BR, because I enjoy BR games, but I'm just so gung-ho on playing single player games right now that I can't be bothered with a lot of multiplayer games. The finishing moves in Apex are fucking hilarious. Those amazing. That's another, like, talk about things like features that development companies are bringing to games that add variety and that they can change often. Skins, okay? Skins keep things pretty fresh for a while. Now, instead of having like emotes, you have finishing moves that can be customized.
So it's kind of like Overwatch, how they have is it like the intro? I don't play Overwatch, so I might get attacked for this. But
like their voice or their intro or their outro, or play the game kind of thing stuff. Yeah, so they brought in this whole, like, if anybody would have, like, let's say a year or two ago, if PUBG would have came out and said, by the way, we have these finishing moves that make your character unplayable for 7 seconds and you can die during that point, everyone would have been lost their shit. Like all the BR legends, like, oh my God, my KD. But now that like kind of Fortnite came into the mix and added like this fun, playground aspect of Battle Royale, now I feel like Apex is able to get away with that kind of thing. Fortnite,
the battle royales in general, I was a huge fan of PUBG. Loved PUBG. Huge. I can't even explain how much I loved PUBG. I played it for like 2, 3, 4 months, up until the point that they made like a game changing. I don't know what it is with BRs, but certain developers are just like, hey, everyone loves this game. What can we do? Let's change the mechanics of the game. So like, Fortnite had an error. The thing that took me out of Fortnite was their building. Their building all of a sudden just wasn't working. So like it was something that I would rely on, and then all of a sudden the building doesn't work anymore. So it, like, people could shoot through it, and there's just a bunch of errors, so which drove me away. But with PUBG, it was the AK and the 7.62 guns. They were balanced. They worked. And then all of a sudden they're like, let's get rid of those, and now you have to have a 5.56 gun. And all of a sudden, everyone was like, okay, fuck this game. Let's find something new. And Fortnite, which was a game that was developed by Epic, like you said, was a game that was supposed to compete with Minecraft. They wanted to go after kids that wanted to build and wanted to do tower defense. They were looking at games that, that were really popular on mobile with people, playing, these tower defense games and microtransactions where they're buying stuff like that. And then they're like, oh, wait, hold on. This BR thing is really popular. Let's have a run at that. And it's Inception. I remember there's a bunch of people that were playing H1 in games like that. Cause let's not forget about H1Z1, but there's a bunch of people that are like, nah, we're not going to make the switch. And then they're like, that's never going to be an esport or anything like that. And I think that in general, the definition of esports has changed. Now, it used to be competitive gaming, and now it's okay, where's the biggest prize pool? Because if you put money into anything, people are going to show up. Like if you're like, hey, you can win $1 million right here, you're going to have, it's like when a radio show is like, hey, we're going to give you $1 million and a free car. If you can leave your hand on this car, you're going to have tens of thousands of people trying to put their hand on that car, and they're not going to remove it for, weeks on end. But that nowadays, like, I remember like when Fortnite came out and they're like, oh, we're doing there was people wanted to be like make teams, and it was going to be this esports thing. And, I had at the time, I was like, the top, 500 in the world at playing the game and for wins and KD and all that. I remember I was playing against my buddy American Dad, who was like number 1 with Liquid Strafe, he was number 1 and American Dad was number 2. And they were like, we would always run into each other. I was like, this isn't going to be an esport. It doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, hey, $100 million. And I'm like, okay, it's an esport.
Yeah. Like, holy hell.
Holy shit.
An esport where you don't play against other professionals.
Holy crap. All you have to do, and there's just so much RNG and variable that esports in general, like basketball, like CSGO is similar to basketball in the way that it's predictable, right? Like there's a ball, there's a basket, you have to put the ball in, you have however many players on the field, and there's only so much you can do.
Right.
Like Fortnite, you now have building. You don't have to, like, I've proven plenty of times while streaming, I can win at Fortnite consistently without killing a single person. I can just build my way out of any fight and survive. Probably not nowadays because everyone's a god at that game, but
right.
I've proven it. Like I did a 24-hour stream and I got so bored of playing the game that I was like, okay, I'm just not going to kill anyone. We're just going to hide and build and hide in bushes. And we won like 4 or 5 games like that. So it's like nowadays in the inception of the Fortnite esports side of things, you see them making so many changes to the game to keep it fresh, right? Like putting planes in and all this stuff that is adding more variable to how
map changes
and all this stuff that's making the game more fun to play for the typical user and the consumer. But then on the esports side of things, all of the industry, like the competitors are like, oh my God, this fucking game. Like they're getting killed by planes and all kinds of stuff that's going on.
One-hit swords that are bringing down buildings.
So it's weird because you're like, the definition of esports because of Fortnite has completely changed, because it's like, how is it that can be competitive? But then you see people like adopt it and they're like, okay, wait, this is how we can use it as a positive and a negative in a team basis, and and use it as a utility, whether it be a plane or whatever it is. So there's some interesting kind of back stuff that can happen, but I feel like in general, when it comes to sports and something that can be predictable, you have to retain that some sort of competition mode that prevents these new changes from altering. Because when the planes first came, I have a couple of buddies that are pros, like Crispy, who plays for CLG. I used to play with him all the time. Spades. They like the day before the event that they were supposed to do, I believe it was TwitchCon. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it was TwitchCon. They put in these planes, and then you see the broadcast, and there's 2 pros that were literally just following each other and just shooting off to the side, and just because they could survive the whole game. And to get money, you just have to survive to the end. So if you're in the sky, no one can get you. So I think it's interesting because like the way I define esports in general is it has to be predictable in a way that you can see the difference between the players in the way that they compete. You can differentiate the quality of the player and you can see how they're strategizing. But when the game changes so much, and it's like the base is like, imagine if a basketball court just had floorboards falling out and then there's springs popping up, and then while the game is happening, and you're
rim moves.
Yeah, imagine practicing for months leading up to an event for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then all of a sudden you get there, and then the rim is now moving back and forth, and the ground is ice. So I think it's interesting that's happened. I don't know what's going to personally what it's going to take to take over Fortnite. I think we have like another 3 weeks to a month before Fortnite's back up top, but there could always be something else.
Oh yeah. And it's I want to play it, and it's free, and there's no there's no reason why I haven't played it other than just time. And I think it's an awesome game. Like I said, it's brought a lot of things that I didn't think I would have never known to ask for. Like, I would have never asked for finishing moves, but now that I see them, I think they're fucking hilarious. I think it's awesome. The threes, they brought in threes, and so no squads of four, which I thought was interesting. They kind of brought, other BRs have done this, but the like the classes, having different classes and stuff like that, it's another interesting factor. The everybody drops together and only one person can choose where you drop. That's something new. The respawning, obviously there was reviving and stuff like that, but they put a whole new spin on it. So they brought all of these other varieties all together into one game and made something really, really cool. And on second hand too, have you seen Titanfall 2 viewership lately? It's actually gone up. There's a lot of people playing Titanfall 2 now because it's similar kind of game mechanics.
Oh yeah.
And people are kind of moving over, like people who are like, oh man, I'm kind of sick of playing Apex. Like, oh shit, there's this other game that the company made that's just a death. Oh, I'd kind of like to play that.
That happened with Casey and I with Fortnite. Like, I used to play Fortnite daily and I killed myself over it. It was the worst thing because I get to a point where I didn't enjoy playing it, but I was doing it because I like, it was the thing that I knew that I could do.
Right.
But we were like, hey, why don't we play? Because Casey didn't really play Fortnite. She was a PUBG player. And I was like, well, why don't we play they have a free to play. They have a like, what do you call it? Playing against the enemy or
PvE,
playing against bots. PvE. I play WoW. I should know that. But I was like, let's just try that and we'll practice in there. You can figure out how to build and do different dynamic stuff. So it's cool that when they have a resource that allows you to do something else with the same similar game mechanics.
Right.
Personally, like I have had a huge resurgence in playing WoW because I really like the game itself is incredibly grindy, and getting to the point that you have to be able to play PvP takes forever. But I love the idea that you can play PvP. I can just hop into a 2v2 arena, play against other people. And what it comes down to is outthinking it's to an extent. It's like chess, where I have to think about what their utility is, what they can play with, and I have to be able to counteract that. But what's great is, like, when I'm getting tired of or overwhelmed with the competitive nature, I can just go out and do something else. Where Fortnite up until now didn't really offer that. They had the PvE, but it didn't really have, like, it had a pay gate, right? Which they wanted to sell more copies of their game, which makes sense. But now they just released this, I don't know if it was a month ago or 2 months ago. They have a creative mode where you can go in and just build these crazy cities like Minecraft. So it gives kids that have like insane skills in the game another place where they can, demonstrate that. So I think that games in general, you might have to look at it in a way where these developers might have to look at their games in a way where they need to have something besides this competitive esport thing to fuel all of the interest. And then there's the top of the line competitive side that is protected from all of the updates and all of this other stuff that can affect the game.
Right.
But yeah, I think I was kind of blown away that, it was 2-3 days in and Apex was still up top. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
Let me ask Naaackers about that. Cause I don't know if at the time I was like, yes, Fortnite's dead. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Claps in chat for Fortnite. Ripperonis. But
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to play it at this point. Cause again, with like BRs, it's only fun if you're a certain amount good. If you just suck ass and you're just getting killed every single time, it's no fun. And
you missed that entry window where it's people enjoying the game, and now if you join it, it's tryhards and sweaties that are
sweaties all day, dude.
It happens every time with like PUBG, with Fortnite. It happens with all these BRs. So thing worth mentioning, and you were talking about how Apex is incorporating these finishing moves and all these things that you weren't expecting to like in a game, but you didn't know you wanted, but all of a sudden you find them interesting. I think what we're seeing a lot is these different developers look at failures of games. So like PUBG looked at H1Z1. They're like, okay, why are they failing? H1Z1 looked at CSGO. Why are they popular? Oh, wait, because they're gun skins. So they introduced gun skins. They were super popular for a while. Then it fell off after PUBG came out. PUBG fixed a few problems that were in H1Z1 with things not being as realistic. Then PUBG was the cornerstone in the community. Everyone loved it. And then the community's like, hey, we need these changes. PUBG didn't do any of them. So then Fortnite comes up and they're like, hey, we'll do all those changes that you wanted us to do. We'll fix what H1Z1 was having issues with, and we'll fix PUBG's problems. And they got to a point where the game was in a great state, and then they stopped listening to the community. From what I believe, the competitive community is really all that I hear from. But then all of a sudden you have Apex, and they're like, wait, hey, how's it going, guys? Like, we're the next guys in the neighborhood, and we're gonna fix the problems over at Fortnite so you guys can play our game. And it's like a repeating system of the same thing from the developers. They're like, wait, okay, all we have to do is look at what they're fucking up, copy their game, do exactly what they're doing, and then add our own stuff to make it individual.
The fact that you skipped over Blackout
it
says a lot.
I just realized that. As I was finishing that, I was like, oh shit, they skipped the Blackout. They're actually fixing what was wrong with Blackout. But,
yeah.
Oh,
I played a shit ton of BR. I have over 250 hours in PUBG. Not nearly as much in Fortnite. I'd probably say less than 100 in Fortnite. I'm super glad that there's another game that people are loving. Like, I feel like all the people that were looking to like the Call of Duties and the Battlefields, they were looking for like that next big game, are now getting rewarded with all of these decent BR games, like over and over and over again. So like when I see a new BR game, I'm like, cool, another game for people to enjoy. I don't really care that it's another game in the genre. Like I said, when I'm sitting in my couch watching E3, I'm like, okay, let's see the single player games. Let me see all the dope campaigns that are coming out, or the co-op games. Like, that's just my focus right now. But I'm super glad that the game is doing well, and that there are options and contenders as far as BR games. Like, you're sick of Blackout, go play Fortnite. You sick of Fortnite, go and play Apex.
Yep. You sick of PUBG? Don't play H1Z1. There's no one playing.
Oh my god! And also fucking PUBG. Good god.
So I think it's interesting that it's just kind of like a loop, and I'm interested in the next game that comes out. I'm interested in these games. Like CS:GO has a battle royale mode now that I just.
I do not hear about that at all. Actually,
it's just a small game mode, but they're incorporating it, testing it. It was funny the other day. Casey and I I was on Instagram, and I saw Rainbow Six BR, and they posted a picture of this guy in a truck, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Casey, no, they're Rainbow Six BR," and we're like looking at each other, all freaking out. And then I click on the page, and it's like Rainbow Six Brazil. I was like, "Oh
fucking." All right. Well, as much as I hate to cut this conversation short, we gotta rumble on through these Q&A, and then we gotta call it a night.
Yeah,
what time do you usually go to bed? You don't have a bedtime, do you?
I don't have a bedtime now.
¿Cómo se llama?
Casey and I fix our schedule maybe once a week, and then we blow it. We completely screw it up. So,
okay.
Yeah. There's no bedtime. This is like way too early. I wouldn't even start my stream by now, honestly. This is like early for me.
Holy fuck! Oh my god. See, I should be in bed half an hour ago, but fuck that. It's podcast night. No, and I say I never am actually in. Like, if I'm going to wake up with a decent body on Monday, I should be in bed at 10:30. But Sundays, I always, after the podcast, I'm usually in bed at 12, 12:30, usually by the latest. And it's just how it goes. Podcast night. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, we're having a good conversation. Hey, I'm enjoying myself, man. If at any point where I could talk for fucking 3 hours if you want me to.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I think the longest podcast I've ever done was like 3 hours and 10 minutes or 3 hours and 15 minutes. So it's not far fetched. No, it was either with. I know I had a long one with Amber's Arcade. I had a really long one with Nip Nops. And then I think we've done a group show that was just over 3 hours. It was like me, 42, Salty, and Middle-Aged Stream.
Yeah, Jimbo. I love Jimmy.
Jimbo!
Let's just take a minute to say how much we love Jimbo. He is wonderful.
Motherfucker just had his 4-year Twitch anniversary on Saturday.
I know. It was yesterday.
Yeah. Only it was, dude. The days have blurred together this weekend. I don't even know what day it is right now.
Oh my
God!
What I appreciate about Jimmy streams, and something that I see with you, and you were talking about single player games, and I'll keep this short because we need to get to the Q&A. But I'm looking now more into games that I can play by myself, like City Skylines, and certain games that I can incorporate the viewer into. By like when I was playing City Skylines a couple months ago, and it was like I think the viewers had a ton of fun because I was like naming houses after them and naming characters after them. So I'd go back and like check in on people. But there's a few things that I want to do where I'm incorporating viewers, either where Casey and I are literally just sitting, we're hosting a Rainbow Six event and we're just spectating, and then we're the announcers for the event, but it's all of our viewers that are playing.
Okay.
So there's no interaction that's happening with the voice itself, right? There's no VoIP that's happening between us and the viewer. But if we're doing the broadcasting and the announcing, it just gives us another thing to provide our personalities on top of, and then they can be a part of being the people playing the game.
Right.
So they get their outlet. They get their outlet of being able to express their level of performance in a game, right? So there's stuff like that I really want to incorporate. I know that in XCOM 2, Jimmy does this, and he's a god for doing it. But he names the people in the game after the viewers, right?
Yep.
So whenever I hop into his chat and he's playing that game, he pulls Bishop out, right? This Canadian guy with a mustache, and he plays with him, and then eventually I die at some point. But it's super cool because it feels like I'm a part of it without it being intrusive. So I'm not talking to him in chat. So I love things like that. I love the single player games. They have a huge opportunity, I think, on Twitch. That games like Fortnite and that, the competitive games don't really provide a lot of streamers. So I think that in general, if you enjoy playing a game, find something that you enjoy playing and then play it and find a way to incorporate people into it.
Yep. I can't really speak for my community, but I would guess that if I was to ask what are the quality of my streams from what the difference in quality between when all I did was play multiplayer, Rocket League, and multi-stream compared to the past year and couple months where it's just been single player. Because like with single player games, the growth and the viewership, it's low and slow. But the quality of those streams and how much I look forward to those streams, I'm able to go at my own pace. I play games that are super interesting. I'm able to interact with my community. I'm able to get to know people. All things that I just didn't feel like they were possible when it's just like Rocket League for 6 hours, where it's just 5 minutes. So go, and then look at chat for a little bit, and then go. I just feel way better about my channel and my community now than I did 2 years ago, because I just felt like I wasn't like I was live and I was streaming and I was playing games, but I just wasn't there for my community like I was expecting my community to be there for me. It was such kind of like a one-sided thing. And so I 100% encourage trying to go down the single player route. It's just like, it's a totally different experience in my opinion. Yeah.
Hey, do you mind if while you're queuing up these questions, I'm just going to use the bathroom super quick and then we can hop into the questions.
All the questions are already in queued and ready to go. So you going to the bathroom is taking time away from the podcast. So no, no, I'm just kidding. Go. Bishop's got to pee, and he's got his wireless fucking headset too. I've actually. I know I do. I miss Rocket League very much, and I know for the people that enjoyed Rocket League as much as I did, enjoyed those streams, and I would never trade any of those streams for the world. It's such a great time back then playing Rocket League. But I'll tell you what, I just bit my tongue playing all these single player games, over the past year plus. And just really growing with you guys as a community. It's been such an amazing experience. I keep saying that like every year that goes by is like the best year. But seriously, this past year on Twitch has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just looking at all the people hanging out here for the podcast, I really do appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for enjoying it. So with that said, full-time Apex streamer starting Tuesday. Let's fucking go, dude!
You know what I need from chat is a compilation of the beginning of the stream, how many times I took a drink, because I have 3 drinks here. I have a beer, I have a Red Bull, and I have a a big water cup, and I drank all 3 of those. So
All are gone. Well, I had 3
yeah, they're
beers,
all
so
gone.
we're about I.
Okay, I feel you. Perfect.
Nice.
All right, so I gave you some time to talk to chat to get that heartfelt message while I was peeing. I could hear it.
Don't listen to my heartfelt messages.
Listen, that was one of the best.
Your snide little smile. All right. First question comes from, oh shit, no. First question is actually from Twitter. This one comes from Middle Age Stream. Is there a certain ritual you have when you are in creative mode? For example, I listen to classical music when I'm messing with overlays off stream.
Yeah, so precursor, I do a lot of Twitch designs. I do a lot of content development. I do a lot of animation, a lot of stuff like that, just for people that don't know. But I actually saw that question, and it's good because it's the first thing that I had to prepare for today. So I still don't have an answer. But my answer is I've probably prepared more for this podcast than I have for any project I've ever done in my life when it comes to work.
Stop.
Honestly, I swear. My creative process, typically when I'm getting work done, I love listening to music. I watch a lot of streams on Twitch. I think the streams in general are too interactive for me, or I like being too interactive. So I find that I take a lot of weight away from actually getting the work done. Audiobooks are fantastic. I tend to listen to those whenever I can. Now with Casey, we're in Discord or something while we're both working. But my creative process typically starts with me getting a project, working on something that finding the things that I find inspiring, whether that be just simple images or something like tangible textures or something like that, and then kind of just running with it and listening to music and going with it. But with that being said, that's the right answer. But in general, typically my creative process is waiting till the last second, and then while fire alarms are going off, I'm just getting everything done. So that's typically what it looks like.
I have found that when it comes to working on stuff off stream, that a lot of the things that you are doing involve video and audio. And so I'll load up iTunes, I'll start a playlist, I'll get about 2 songs in, and then I have to pause it to listen to a sound effect that I want to implement, to watch a video. So I pause the music, and then I eventually just going hours with just silence and then just listen to the things that I'm working on. I can't, there's no point in me trying to watch something while I'm trying to work. I find it completely distracting, and it just doesn't work for me. But I will assume that this question was directed at you, Mr. Creative, and not me.
No, I'm right there with you. Like, there's a lot of stuff that I enjoy doing, like watching Twitch and watching Netflix and stuff like that. But I think when I actually get a lot of work done, it's usually when I'm listening to music or an audiobook or something that I can kind of just space out on. Because Casey brought it to my attention. She's like, hey, you didn't get I brought it up to her that I didn't really get what I needed to get done. She's like, what did you do today? I was like, well, I was on Twitch and blah, blah, blah. And then she kind of witnessed, she did me the favor of witnessing kind of what I was doing and what my ritual was. And first thing I'd do is sit down on my second screen, pull up Twitch, and I'd be sitting and I'd have my application open, but nothing would get done on my application because as soon as I went into stream, I'd be talking to people. And like, we were talking about it earlier when I go into chat, someone's like, oh, what up, dude, what up? So I'm just typing and like filling people in. So there's a lot of that happening. And then it kind of like draws my attention because I am like, anyone that's listening to this podcast is probably like, oh my God, this guy's the most ADD person of all time. But I have the hardest time focusing on something. And then if I get distracted, it's impossible to return to it. So like, I can't get back into it. Especially in like the beginning phases of a project, it's so hard for me to just get the ball rolling. A lot of the time, like I'll tinker with something back and forth and I don't like that. I don't like that. I spend like half of my time just trying to get something to work in a way that I like it. And then all of a sudden, the last few hours, I do like 90% of the work. So,
okay.
That's how I work.
It's a good routine.
It's great. It's great. I'm going to write a book.
Next question from Gigantic Gent on Twitter. Do you ever regret combining, he said combing, but I'm guessing, I copy pasted this. I think he said combing. Do you ever regret combining all your lovers together? Lover. Do you ever regret combining all of your loves together on Twitch, meaning camera, graphics, audio? Does it cause an unnecessary attention, or do you welcome it?
Okay, so 2-part question. I do regret it 100% because it overcomplicates everything that I have to do to the day. I find that there's little projects like Naaackers, have you ever seen my intro that I have?
Oh yeah.
The fully animated. So that intro, not the one with my face, but the one with the broken down machine.
Yep.
That intro I did while I was supposed to be doing another project. And I really so like I'll have a work project that's going to keep me alive, right? It's going to feed me. And then there's some project on Twitch that I can do that I can like it takes me just as much time, but I want to do it because like it's something that I'm really passionate about, where like creating corporate videos like to some extent aren't really the thing that I'm super passionate about in that moment. So I have to get through doing the thing that I want to do a lot of the time. So it's like I'm spending the time that I should be spending working, making and building stuff that creates, value or builds value or what I believe to be value on my Twitch channel. So there's a lot of overlap that it's really hard for me to kind of decide which one is work and which one is just me making stuff for the channel. But yeah, it's super hard to juggle. It's something that I'm not very good at all, but something that I'm trying to figure out now, more so. But, one simple example of that is like on Twitch, you want everything set up and to be as simple as possible. So you can turnkey, you can sit down, turn it on, and the stream turns on and everything's perfect. And you're able to do your own thing. And whenever you have technical issues, it completely derails everything. It happens all the time. My camera that I'm using, I use it for work too. So I have to disassemble it, take it down, and then I have to put it back up. And that happens. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's pretty rare, but it tends to happen. So it's like, breaking down and setting up, and that overlap with hardware based stuff it can be a massive pain in the ass. Cause in general on Twitch, you just want everything set up and to be working. So
yep, I
tend to have that issue quite a bit. What was the end of the question that Jen wrote?
I fucking closed the script on accident. Son of a bitch. What are you doing to me?
What is this?
Does it cause any unnecessary attention or do you welcome it? Was the second part.
Okay. So yeah. So the second part, like a lot of people, when I first started streaming, people would come in and be like, oh my God, look at the quality of this channel. Like, how are you only at like 10 viewers? How are you only at 5 viewers? Whatever the question was, like, wow, this is insane. Like, a lot of people come in because of the quality because like we talked about it earlier, I have a background in doing this stuff in the real world, like setting up productions, working, these big events for companies like Red Bull, like doing Red Bull Aces, which is this big wingsuit racing competition that I learned these little, traits and tasks, every time that I go out and work. And I can apply those pretty easily because I know how to do them. It's just simple stuff like masking lights that people don't think of. So like if you have RGB lights in your background and you mask the light off, then the light that's lighting your face doesn't protrude to the background and it doesn't wash out that light. There's little stuff like that I can combine. It's super simple. But I welcome the idea that a lot of people come into my stream to ask me about that stuff because I am really passionate. And what my viewers probably know, because as soon as this, anyone asks me about stuff, whether it be cameras or whatever it is, I go on in like a 3-hour tangent talking about it. So
same.
Completely derailing the game. I do it constantly.
Yeah. Anytime somebody brings up like tech and we just start going, we were playing God of War the other day. And I can't remember what somebody asked me about audio or computers or something. And then it was just, I couldn't stop talking. I'm just sitting there. And then it gets to the point where you set the controller down and you're looking at the camera and you're talking. You're like, fuck, I need to get back to the goddamn video game.
God damn it. Yeah. And then you feel bad because you're like, okay, what am I supposed to be doing in the game? And you feel, it's hard to, for me, I welcome that because I genuinely enjoy helping people with their setups because there's a lot of this information a lot of the time for Twitch in general. Of how to set something up properly is just not available out there. Like there's a lot of information kind of floating around, but a lot of streamers keep it close to their vest because they don't want other people to know how they do.
I hate that shit.
I hate that. It drives me crazy. One time I asked this guy about a motorized dolly, and I was like, "Hey, that's really cool. I work in the broadcast industry. Like, which one are you using?" Because I know names of like 100 of these things. Messages me back. He's like, "Hey, it's not you, but I don't want to reveal that because people steal my ideas." And I'm like, "Okay."
That streamer's name start with an A?
Yes.
I know it is.
Yeah. It's probably an automated response, but yeah, I was like, "Hey, that's really cool, man. Cool." And I actually finally recently found out what it was because he made a series of YouTube videos, but it wasn't even the one that I was thinking about buying. So I was like, hey, I could have gotten the better one. And then
I don't want to generalize an opinion about that person, but in general, in my opinion, when you have people that gatekeep stuff like that, it means that that is the only value that they see in themselves. And once that gets out, they think like, oh, well, shit, people aren't going to walk or aren't going to watch anymore.
And to be completely fair, I've been there too. Like I've been to the point where I'm like, this is the thing that I'm kind of standing up on, these different, intros and transitions. And everyone's like, wow, I really want your transition. How do I get one of those? And I've been terrible. Like people already know that I've been, an asshole about, responding to people. Like maybe not an asshole, but like, I don't take time to respond to everyone on Twitter there's just so many people. Like if I post an overlay or transition on Twitter, I'll get like 20, 30 DMs asking how much it is. And a lot of time, people are off put by the cost because like, this is what it takes for me to do this. I'm just not charging myself anything. So I understand it. I get it, but I 100% agree with you. It's like, I think in general, my prognosis of Twitch in general is that I have more potential growing on Twitch, helping other people grow than I do just trying to grow myself. Right. Because I think that there's a lot of people, a majority of the people that watch my stream, and maybe you share this, maybe not, but a lot of the people that watch mine, or a majority, want to be streamers as well. So anything that I can do to help them do that helps them grow, right? So and I'm not one of those guys that's gonna be like, hey, well, let's all get together and go together, because it's just, that's not how people think. But like I want to help other people to grow, to see them successful. Yeah, it's like we're all looping our arms together and frolicking through dandelions and living in the clouds. But at the end of the day, like I just want to be able to help people if they have questions. Like I'll do my best to do that. Nowadays, I'm way more open to it because I want other people to be successful. Like people are constantly asking me questions about cameras. And in reality, there's so many resources out there to figure this stuff out, but there's just small things like if you want to use a DSLR as your webcam, you have to make sure that camera doesn't have data output in the HDMI, so you don't see like that the video is recording, or that you have your ISO and all of your camera settings. So there's little stuff like that I'm able to help people with that is really simple and straightforward. That's not complicated. But in most cases, I would say that sharing information about how to stream and about the things that make stream easier for other people that are in the entry level is more beneficial than holding something for yourself to try to hold it to help you grow.
100%.
Because the timeline that you're looking at, you're looking at it in a way that, that you're like, oh, I just built this thing and no one's going to be able to figure it out, but someone's smart enough to figure it out, and they're going to figure it out. And if they really want to, they can take it from you. So in reality, if you're not the person that's the figurehead, I don't know if that figurehead. That's what
figurehead. Like me.
Yeah. Thumbhead. Yeah.
Thumb face.
So as soon as if you're the person that's delivering that information for people, you'll gain more building the identity and value for your personal brand, being the person that's supplying that information to people. You'll grow faster being that person than you will being the person that has that tool.
Shit, what was I gonna say? Fuck. Was it about? Oh, yeah, I do love you. Hey. It's such that the gatekeeping of the knowledge is such like a short-term win thing.
Yeah, it is.
Where the long term is just being kind and just being plentiful with your knowledge. I always tell people, if you need somebody to talk to because you had a bad day, or you need some advice about your girlfriend or what the fuck ever, I can't help you. I suck. Yeah. I suck at that. I'm terrible. You have a question about OBS? Call me.
Hell yeah, brother.
3 a.m. I'm up. Yeah. Let's fucking do this. Let's team viewer. I want to remote into your PC. We're gonna fix this right now. There's probably, I know of a couple people that I've done hours worth of audio calls of just trying to help them out. But at the end of the day, it's like we helped somebody out today, and it fucking feels great.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? And it is what it is. If I get requests all the time for technical stuff because I am able to do it. I have the capabilities to do it. And, it's either going to take the other person spending their time and wasting their time, trying to figure out how to stream. And then eventually they get off put. And, I don't want to be the guy that you come to for Q&A whenever you need help, but I'm always going to be that person that's willing to support someone in my community to help them. Right. And I'm always going to be the person as well. Like I've done this a lot for people to be the person that like comes into their stream. I had a few friends that, have been streaming for years, and they're like, hey, what can I do different? Like, what am I doing different? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, I'm not seeing growth and this and that. And I've been that person that's just like, hey, listen, stop looking at that shit. Just if you,
Yeah.
the thing about Twitch that if you're listening to this podcast or watching it, whatever, the only thing that you should take away from this, if you're listening to my rambling, is if you're doing Twitch, the main reason you should be streaming is because you want to share what you already enjoy doing with other people. If you are in it for the financial reasons, you will lose your ass. It's hardly profitable. It is very, very hard to earn a living. And if your focus is on growing and all this other stuff, the end game never comes. Like you get maybe like a 0.00001% of people that stream become millionaires. So if you're enjoying doing it, if you have a 9-to-5 job that sucks, but you can spend 3 hours at the end of the day making $100 in a month, but you're doing something that you would have been playing games anyways, why not do it? It's fun. If it's enjoyable for you, do it. It's a hobby. It's something that's fun. Don't get into it because you think it's a career. If you enjoy doing what you're doing, your viewership will notice that, and they will reciprocate it by rewarding you with, spending their time. They're giving you their time, and they're representing,
they're killing themselves with you.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're gonna get into streaming, do it for the right reasons, because at the end of the day, it's really not worth it. But if you have a great time sharing your experiences with other people, and you grow and you learn things because of it, and you're able to expand the amount of technical knowledge and streaming and broadcasting, and and maybe even CSS if you want to learn how to code your own alerts and things like that. You're going to network. You're going to meet all these people that in 10 years from now you might get a job from them on LinkedIn.
You never fucking know.
You never know. So yeah, I mean, enjoy it. If you're killing yourself every time you start the stream because you hate doing it, like, what's the point? That attitude is never going to bring you to the top. So
right.
The best way to do it is just to find something you enjoy doing. I've been doing this a lot more. Like, I'll be playing WoW. WoW is the worst game for me to stream because it's super complicated and it's so hard for people to understand what's happening. I'm like, fuck it. That's what I want to do. I'm just going to do it. And like, if I enjoy, like, people want to spend some time and they want to send me a message or two, like, hell yeah. Like, I appreciate that, because what I would be doing without Twitch, I would be sitting and playing a game.
Right.
So it's just an extra layer to that for me to, have some other reason to, be spending my time playing that game.
Anytime people come to me and say, like, man, I've been streaming for a while, I'm not really, seeing any growth, I don't really know what's going on. I'm like, how long have you been streaming? They're like, oh, like a year and a half. I'm like, cool. Let's talk again in 4.
Yeah.
And let's see where we're at, because nowadays you really got to play the long game, and you have to love it if you're going to make something out of it, unless you are the 0.0001% who is beyond charismatic like yourself, an amazing gamer, or one of those categories. So just got to put in the time, get the fuck to work.
Yeah, do it because you enjoy it. Like, the best way to do the math in your head, super simple. I'm not even that proficient in math. I was okay at geometry, but if you have a 9-to-5 job and it's paying you $10 an hour and you can stream for 3 hours, don't quit your fucking 9-to-5. You know what I mean? If streaming eventually becomes a thing where then instead of an 8-hour, day of working, do a 6-hour day. See if you can cut your hours down, and then spend that extra 2 hours streaming if it becomes profitable enough. Don't throw all your eggs in the basket just to start streaming.
That would be fucking, because I'm one of the people who say that I don't think I ever want to be a full-time content creator. Like, I would still part-time job, at least 30 hours a week, something to cover my bases. If I could work 6 hours a day, 5 hours a week, and then just keep my same streaming schedule where I'm streaming 4 hours, like 4 times a week, that would be like the perfect sweet spot. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, at my best, like, I made like what, $300-400 a month, right? That covers my internet, that covers all my, and I was streaming like quite a bit when I was playing Fortnite, but $300-400 a month. I wasn't ever like, I was 10-15 viewers, but at the end of the day, like, I got to a point where that's covering my internet cost. It's definitely not worth it hourly. Fuck no, I might as well be doing anything else.
McDonald's.
But I'm genuinely enjoying my time, and it's paying for itself to a certain extent. Maybe not for all the equipment, but It was stuff that I already had. It was stuff that, made sense. And let's say you're making $200 a month on Twitch, or $100. Which, if you're making $100 on Twitch, if you're making anything on Twitch, you're successful. That should be a metric for success for you. But if you're at a point where you're making anything, then sure, to put that money aside and save it and buy, a new mixer a couple months. As long as you're enjoying doing what you're doing, that should be the motivation behind going and streaming in general. All right, next question.
Well, yeah, we got to blast through these questions.
Okay, I'll go faster.
Quick segue. You're an amazing guest. Thank you for being on here. Is an awesome time.
Dude, I'm having such a great time. I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. Last time it was 3 weeks. Can I if I schedule now?
How much longer? What's the next show I can be on?
When is the next one I can be on? But listen, I've never been so excited to be on something. I appreciate you. Honestly, if you know, or if you talk to any of my people that are part of my community on Twitch, they're probably like, where the fuck has Bishop been? Where has he been? What's he been doing?
Putting in the work.
So, oh my God, it's been a nightmare of just stupid things after stupid things happening with work. But, time and place, man. Oh, it's been a mess. So personally, I'm just like, this is the first thing on Twitch that I've been passionate about doing in months. So thank you for that.
Hey man, you're welcome. I'm glad I could share this with you.
I've been having a ton of fun, man. It's
good.
Awesome.
I'm fucking hard.
Oh, let's go.
All right. Next question's from Obawi. In 5 words or no, I'm sorry, I missed one. Gigantic Gent.
Oh.
What would be the ultimate company to work for? Like the end all be all job?
Oh, fuck. That's a great question. I think I would genuinely enjoy, in the short term, I would genuinely enjoy working for an esports organization, because I think that there's a ton of potential just with ad placement and creating compelling content for viewers that can really engage people, instead of like, you'll see like Intel or whoever it is, not going to, any brand come in and they'll be like, oh, esports, there's a ton of viewers here. How do we get our money in there if we put our logo on this? And that's just kind of how they go about things. But there's a ton of potential with just like interactive content for viewers that produces, like, there's tons of technology out there that can lead to this, but there's so much potential just for working closely with brands, and that's stuff that I've done in the past. So working with an esports org would be awesome, just because like you look at these, the big esports, organizations, and you look at what they're doing just on Twitch and with, what they're supplying to their partners, they're getting a PNG that loops for like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then they're putting a logo on a jersey. It's insane to me.
There's a lot of money there.
Yeah, there's a lot of money. So I think when it comes down to, in the short term, that's what I'd really be interested in doing. In the long term, the company that I've freelanced for a ton, I've worked for quite a bit in the past, is Red Bull. Red Bull, for me, like coming up as a kid in action sports and stuff like that, they have been at the cutting edge in history for doing all of, like, supporting athletes, supporting all these big events that are happening, whether it be Stratos and sending someone to the moon when the U.S. hasn't sent some, or not to the moon, sorry, to space. When NASA can't even do it. It's, they're financing things that are super cool. So like for me, the end goal is working for a company that values the things that they do with their earnings, instead of how much money they're making at the end of the day. So that's the fastest way I can answer that.
Okay. I would. Yeah. Do it, baby. I can't. I don't think I can say that I would like. I don't think there's a dream job where I'm working for somebody else, unless I have free, like, full creative freedom, and also freedom. Like, I can't talk how I'm talking now at my day job. Right, like I can let off a couple F-bombs here and there, but I can't talk about getting that ass sucked. Right, like there's certain things I can't say. I would say, just like I was mentioning before, my dream situation is to have a kind of regular day job where I'm still working in technology, because I really love the job that I have right now. 30 hours a week where I was doing that, and then the other half split in between podcasting, video games, and creative streams. Have you ever seen the Kind of Funny Twitch channel?
No, I haven't.
So it's like a very high production, like, talk show, and they do all sorts of content. But they have like or they used to have the show that I used to watch. The guy, Colin Moriarty, the guy that I really liked, is no longer with Kind of Funny. But they had like a morning show where they would just do like a kind of like news anchory segment talk show.
Yeah.
And I would love to be a part of something like that. But then again, those people weren't working for themselves because that guy made one joke on National Women Day or Women's Day, National Female Day. What? National.
There's a national day for everything. That's just.
I can't remember. There was like a definitive holiday.
Okay.
That he made a tweet that was is it a day? Maybe it's not a. He made a Noopsies, yeah. I can't remember the exact holiday, but the day, or at least the hashtag for that day, was a day without a woman. It was like the day that we're supposed to appreciate women. And his tweet was hashtag a day without a woman, and then silence. And he lost his fucking job over that tweet. So he wasn't working for himself. But I've always loved the idea of having like a super high production kind of like talk show kind of thing. But I mean, in my opinion, I'm doing what I love with talk shows right now, like just being able to sit down, have a couple drinks, and just talk with people. And
it's fun, it's different. I think in general with Twitch, if I can segue just for a second, there's a massive opportunity for people to come onto Twitch and do something other than playing Fortnite.
Yes,
there's a huge potential for it. Everything that you see, if you want to be successful on Twitch, here's you know what I said earlier today, that if you hear someone say that they have the route to success on Twitch, they're full of shit. But here's one for you. If you want to become successful on Twitch, go on YouTube, find any idea anyone else is doing on YouTube for a show, and find a way to translate it to a live stream, because it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. But if you're into nature, go and find a way to live stream a nature show. If you're into cooking, find a way to stream cooking. If you're into painting, find a way to produce a painting stream that's interesting. But then find the most interesting thing about Twitch is that we're able to layer in interactivity so then people can be a part of what the production is. On YouTube, any other platform that you're looking at where it's based on VODs, you don't have the opportunity to respond immediately or be a part of that content.
Right.
So don't come and play Fortnite and expect to become the next Ninja. It's not going to happen. I'm just going to tell you right now. You can tweet at me and say screw you because you're ruining my dreams, but it's not going to happen.
Times Square has been done.
Yeah, it's been done. Everyone's flossed. It's
nobody flossed.
But it's been done. So find something that you're genuinely passionate about that you could make a video about. Go find someone on YouTube that's making content that is about something you're passionate about, and then find a way to turn that into a live stream. It sounds like you're ripping it off. You're ripping someone else's content off, but
they ripped it off before. So
it's been ripped off before. They already ripped it off. So find a way to translate it into live broadcasting and live streaming, and find a way to make it sustainable that you can do it once a week or once a day or once a month, and do it, because there's a huge space for that on Twitch. And you will be partnered in 10 minutes if Twitch sees you doing something that's different. I think the person that I found on Twitch that isn't doing something incredibly different, because he is still playing games, but he's finding a way to do something that is incorporating an extra layer on top of that. The game is just a catalyst. Is this guy named Rudism? I don't know if you've seen him.
Mm-hmm.
But he codes different controllers and stuff. So he plays like a shooter game on a racing wheel or on a dance pad, or plays
potatoes.
Yeah, it's so cool because it's like a dynamic of the game that he's just engineering stuff, but he's playing games with these engineered like MacGyver, pieces of equipment, and it's super compelling. Like if I've streamed, like I was thinking about it earlier, I was like,
ooh, compelling.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that word in a while. That's a good word. Yeah.
Shit, you should have told me before this thing, because I could have just said it a bunch.
No, it's good. Just a one and doneer. I like it.
One and doneer. Okay, I like it. But the fact is, like, I'm not going to become the next Pengu on playing Rainbow Six. I'm not going to become the next Canadian. Like, I could sit and play in Siege all day long, and I could probably become like a 50 viewer Nancy, or 100 viewers, and maybe 1,000 viewers, maybe 10 viewers. Who knows, right? But what would be really interesting to me is if I found a way to use Siege, a game that I'm passionate about, to then produce another layer on top of that, to use the game just as a catalyst to produce the content. That's what this is all about. It's not about playing the game. It's about using games as a basis to then produce a higher level of content.
Yep.
So I love what you're doing on Twitch, by the way. You're doing a fantastic job. If I'm gonna be your stream coach, I'm your new stream coach.
Oh, baby, let's go. What's your fee? Blowjobs? How many blowjobs?
Like 100 billion.
Look, I suck good dick, Bishop. I'll change your life.
I'll change your life, brother.
All right, next question from Mobawi. In 5 words or less, what is the meaning of life?
Eat, sleep, sex, games, pizza.
Get that ass sucked, brother. if I really had to sum it up into 5 words, oh man, 5 words.
Do what you can't do. Do what you can't. That's 5.
Be yourself. Fuck, that's be yourself unapologetically.
Be yourself.
Okay, dude.
You heard?
Yeah. How about get that ass sucked, homie? Let's go with that one. Yeah. Next question.
Sucked, homie.
Zandy Chan, would you recommend buying an overlay or making one yourself?
Whew. This is a question that's bad for business. I can't.
Hashtag not sponsored by BishopGP. Does not do this kind of thing.
Buy my overlays. I'm going to be putting them on Twitter. I'm going to be putting them on Bishop was here. I'm going to be creating them and selling them on Twitter. So buy those. Now, honestly, I have because of my own experience. If you come to my stream, you'll notice that I have, arguably some of the best stuff that you can buy for streaming, right? Whether it be lights, cameras, whatever it is, right? Computers, whatever it is. Not a humble brag, but nothing helps you grow on Twitch. There's nothing that's going to help you grow on Twitch other than yourself and being the best person you can be for the people that are watching. And it takes time. Don't like a lot of people wait I know there's a lot of people out there that want to buy overlays, that want to buy transitions and all this other stuff. And I go to their channel and I'm looking at, what they're doing. And I'm really honestly, personally in the past, because I've done everything like a la carte or, one-off stuff. I really select who I've worked with in the past. And there's a lot of people that want me to help them with their channels. Either I don't have any time to do it, or there's certain people that I'm just kind of like, I skip over here and there because I don't think they need my help. And I think that if they spend money on the stuff that I'm doing, sometimes it feels like it's not going to help them get to where they want to go. So they're ultimately just burning money doing that and going through the process to do that. So the moral of the story is it doesn't, the overlays in general, if you can create yourself something that can properly represent something that you're able to make yourself, that's the most valuable thing I think for Twitch in general and for your viewership. So I have a buddy, American Dad, who does this really, really well. His stream, the graphics and all that are terrible, but they're like in a way, in Randy or Randall or a Blitz Express for people that know him from before. All of the things that he includes in his stream, like I drew him some shitty picture that was like this guy doing a heel click that now Casey's done and upgraded and done a second version of. But it was this crappy little picture and he used it as his image because I said it was him. It was just this ugly, ugly thing. And people love that kind of stuff. They love the things that are genuinely you, right? You can never hire someone to create something that is genuinely you, right? Mm-hmm. So like, you can never hire a designer, whatever, to produce exactly what you want. You can, if you're small or if you're growing or you're trying to grow on Twitch, make your first run. If you go back in my VODs and my saved stuff all the way back and see what I made at the beginning, it is terrible. It's god awful. But like my buddy Dover, who's been in my stream since day one, he's like, oh, I know about that overlay. Like, remember the old banana that used to hang on the edge of your circle camera frame? So the best way to put it is do the best with what you can in the interim. See if you can start to, gain some traction on Twitch and see what you're doing wrong. Watch your VODs and figure out, what's, what you're doing wrong personally, like just from, your own interaction or what you're, the things that you can improve on personally. And then the graphics come. Like if you want to make your own stuff, do it right away. See what you like, change it over time. There's nothing is set in stone. If you want something that's really, really nice, you can hire me to do it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to give you that return that you think it's going to. it's up to you to utilize those tools that people like me can build you, to utilize them in the best way. So then more and more people are going to see them, because I could make you the best production, the best overlays, the best transitions. I could make 3D renderings up my ass of literally anything you want. But at the end of the day, if no one's going to see it because you're leveraging that stuff, it kind of goes back to that guy we were talking about with the, different technology. If you're leveraging that to help you grow, it's not going to work. And it's up to you as the streamer to do the best with what you can create, because you might find out, like my buddy Grant, who's in chat, it's KTA. He asked me, and he asked a few buddies of mine to do overlays back in the day, like years ago. He wasn't designing anything himself, but all of a sudden, because he had the need to design and the need for these overlays and stuff that he couldn't request from other people, he started doing it himself, and now he's designing himself. So he found in himself a trait that he didn't know about, because he took the time and he spent it doing something with a goal in sight. So, and that's the best way to learn at the end of the day. People ask me how I learned how to do all the stuff that I do myself, like design or editing or creating content. It's all been I see something in the future, and I just figure out how to get there, and I just kind of pave the path as I'm going. So at the end of the day, if you can teach yourself how to design something in Photoshop, you've just taught yourself something, and your reward is you have this overlay that's genuinely you. So
if you've been streaming for 2 years or less, you don't need to worry about buying overlays, in my opinion. Go to nerdordie.com. You can download every overlay that will make your panels, your alerts, everything match for free, or for like $10. I have designed all of my overlays since I've started streaming, and they're all fucking terrible. Like, it's not where I want it to be, but my money and my time is best spent elsewhere. People get way too caught up in the aesthetics of how a channel looks. If you were to give 10 people, if you were to select 10 people and have them go into 10 streams, nobody is going to go into your stream and go, man, this guy's Twitch panel, his info panel, it's disgusting. I'm out of here. Yeah. There's going to be 7 other things that are going to make them leave before your overlays. If your overlays suck, but your content is fantastic, they'll stick around. Yeah. Case in point, I streamed without a compressor for a really long time, and with very, very shitty graphics. So and the thing is like, you could stream for a year, and then you could have somebody come along and go, hey, I want to design your overlays, and they could pump out something for free and then just give it to you, and then you got yourself awesome overlays. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. If you look at my panels right now, they match nothing in my content at all. They're just these shitty Photoshop kind of designed things that are garbage. My transition, I make better transitions for other people than I make for myself. All of my channel stuff sucks. Like, I mean, from my perspective, I'm like, God, my stuff sucks. It's so hard to make your own stuff. That's piece of it. It's as a designer, I find it super, super hard to make stuff for myself. But for other people, I'm like, oh, that's easy. Like this is what you need. So, I mean, it's bad for business for me to say, not to buy an overlay. I'm going to be selling them on my Twitter, like I said.
Right.
You can buy them, but if you're going to spend the money, and I'll be genuine with you if you ask me personally, like, hey, what do you think? I'll tell you what I think, but don't buy one. And if you're not ready, you know what I mean? Like, save your money, do things that, you might not be ready yet. There's certain people that have been streaming for a long time that need that extra step, and I'm not going to talk them out of it. And there's a lot of great things that I can add on top of a stream to make the production better. But, what it comes down to is, finding the things that you genuinely need, finding things that interact well with, what you're producing. And then when it comes to overlays and stuff like that, I mean, the step one is just, making something yourself. And if someone's like, God, that looks like actual dog shit, you're like, hey, that's because I made it. I don't know what I'm doing. People will love it. They'll think it's hilarious. So, that's the best way to put it out there is, start with what you can make yourself. And if it's terrible and you hate it,
do it again.
Do it again. And if you really, really need help, and you're, it's not a burden on you, and you're not taking money out of your the tax refund to pay me. My problem is that I've done everything a la carte, and for hourly, I've been charging like a millionth of what my rate is just to do stuff for my friends and stuff. But now what I'm doing is because my background's all in like coding and in producing content, I'm building fully interactive templated overlays. So then I'm doing one with 100 different options, so everyone can have one that's individual, and I'm going to sell them for like $20 instead of, you know, having to charge people up the ass. Because if I was charging hourly at what I would typically charge a company for the same amount of time, it would be like a $500 job, right? So it doesn't make any sense.
Did we ever talk about me wanting you to think about doing the Crocs and Hot Pockets overlay design? Did we ever talk about that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
Do you want me to do it?
If you want to like
talk you out of a job,
if you want to risk our friendship for some business and maybe think about some things, let me know.
All right. If you want to play Apex with me anytime soon, just like,
how about Fortnite? You want to play some Fortnite?
Hell yeah, dude. That's how we really ruined the friendship. We played
All right, next question. We really got to bust through these. Bearded Corvus asks, how do you get your eyebrows looking so good?
They are painted on with spray paint and a stencil. Casey does it every morning. I was born with a complex that doesn't let me grow eyebrows, so it's just spray paint.
They look beautiful.
Thanks.
You know what? You could probably swap one half of your mustache and your eyebrows, and they would look just as good. Like that's how good your mustache looks too. And you've got the nice separation in the middle. I need somebody to Photoshop his eyebrows on his mustache and his mustache on it for his eyebrows. Split them up. Make it. Yeah. Can you give us one solid freeze frame so somebody can screen cap this and Photoshop it? Come on. I'm looking at you, chat. Somebody get that. All right. Next question comes from Gigantic Jen. How do you deal with hurt feelings if you play with one but not the other? You talking about my nuts? You're talking about testicles, right? How do you deal with hurt feelings if you play with one and not the other?
If you play with one and not the other, or maybe is he talking about like what I imagine he's saying is if he wants to play Fortnite with me and not with Casey, or vice versa. If he wants to play Fortnite with Casey and not with me, how does he do that without hurting the feelings of the second person? Just ask him. I don't give a half a shit.
I was about to say, if you just communicate, like there's been times where I've played a certain game with somebody before, and then I started playing the certain game again, but like maybe like we got a little bit distant, and like another person has kind of made their way into the group, and I'll send a message to somebody, be like, hey, just letting you know, like I know we used to play this game all the time, but I'm playing it again, and I kind of already have a full party. But I just want to let you know that I was thinking about you, but I'm just playing with some other people, and most of the time that goes over well. For some reason, every person I've ever said that to doesn't talk to me anymore. So maybe that, no, but it's
a different strategy. Yeah.
Communication, dude. Communication.
Yeah. I honestly, I get it. I've been in some awkward situations too with, you know, like you'll have a buddy that you play games with all the time, and then all of a sudden you play with someone else for like a couple of days, and you come back and you're like, hey bud, how's it go? And then he's like off on a competitive team, and you're like, wait, you don't want to play with me anymore?
Shit.
So I mean, I think it just comes down to communicating. I mean, a lot of the time, you know, gaming is something that should be fun for us, right? And I understand fully, because I get this a lot, just because like when I play games with certain people, so there's two parts of me. Either I have a ton of fun and I'm a goofball, or I'm a try hard and I'm like, fucking shit.
Yeah.
So there's only two parts. It's completely separate. There's nowhere in between. So it's like, I get it, where a lot of people want to play games with me because they enjoy, you know, the way that I act when I'm streaming, or they enjoy playing games with me, or whatever it is. But, you know, I understand for other people that like their basis of having fun in a game sometimes relies on me or someone else to have fun in a game. Like playing CSGO, if I played CSGO with my buddies that are competitive, I'm not going to have fun. But if I play with like say, you know, if Naaackers it's a lot of fun to play with him. So let me ask him to play a bunch. But it's kind of like the dynamic. I understand people rely on other people for the different emotions and the different kind of personalities that they're able to deliver to the gameplay.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, like if the question is geared towards like in like Casey and I being in a relationship, and if you want to play with Casey or you want to play with me, honestly, there's a lot of times Casey will bring it up and she's like, "Hey, just go play games with your friends." And I'll be like, "Fuck no, I want to play games with you. Fuck them." Like it
Yeah.
happens a lot. But then there's sometimes where I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna go and do that." Like, and we'll be like hanging out, and I'll be like, "Hey, I want to play, Siege tonight." And then we'll get around to the time, and like I'll change my mind. I'll be like, "Oh, I really want to play WoW now with Casey," or "I want to play this game with Casey." And she's like, "Oh, well, I thought you were gonna play with the other person," and she like pushes me to go and do other things because she's probably like, "God, I'm so tired of this person living with me and he won't leave me alone." So, yeah, I think just communicate. Just be like, "Hey, can we play?" Like especially if you're a streamer. I know Gent is. I don't know if the question is geared around that, but if you're a streamer and you want to stream with like co-stream with someone else, like if let's say for instance, just to keep this simple, if I wanted to stream with Weenie and I don't want to play with Naaackers, I would just be like, "Hey, Weenie, I'd probably message maybe the both of you guys and be like, "Hey, would it be cool if I played with Weenie?" I don't know if I would do that.
That even
I don't know
seems
how I would
weirder
go about it, right? Wouldn't that make it weirder? So maybe I'll just be like, "Hey, Weenie, do you want to play, Siege on Friday night? I have, 3 other people that I'm also playing with. Here's who they are. Would you like to join us?" Because I think if you make it clear that it's like, "Hey, I would just want to play with you and not." Your significant other. Personally, I'll be like, sick, like go for it.
Right,
A lot of
and
the time,
that wouldn't phase me at all. Like if somebody hit up Weenie and said, "Yo, I want to dual stream with you," I'd be like, "Fucking go for it." You're like, "Who am I?" I'd be like, "No,
you're
mine,
for this person.
mine only." Like, and at the same point, there's people who hang out in Weenie's stream but don't hang out in mine, and you can't let that get to you either, because not everybody is going to like everybody. Not everybody can get along. It's so circumstantial, and it all depends on like your confidence level with your significant other too. Like that plays a huge part in it. Jen, if you're listening to this at a future date, hit us up, tag both of us on Twitter, and explain what you actually meant, because I wasn't sure if this. I'm pretty sure this is when we were talking about like couples and streaming and stuff and streaming together. But like most of I don't really know of anybody. Like if somebody came up and was like, "Hey, I want to play games with you, but I don't want to play with your girlfriend," I'd be like, "Well, then you can suck my dick," because like that's my life partner. That's just how it's gonna go. So it's whatever. But I think it's definitely circumstantial. Okay, next question from Paul. What are your top 2 favorite moments streaming on Twitch?
Ooh, what a good question. This is easily one of them, if you don't mind me saying.
Stop
Today's stream.
it.
No,
Stop!
easily. It's been good to talk to someone that has a lot of similarities, and not to just hit on you, but we have a lot of similarities on Twitch, and just you're coming from a different angle than I am, but we're both going for the same goal, and I think it's cool to kind of see the different routes that people go, and just being able to talk to someone in a platform where we're not relying on a game. It's been really cool. So this is one of them. I think another one would probably be there was a Fortnite event called Thanos, and I was really, really afraid of Thanos during this stupid fucking thing. It was so stupid. I'm an idiot. But basically, Thanos, that one player in the BR would get fit Thanos, then they have all of his abilities, and they could just crap on the rest of them. So everyone had to fight against him. And I played like 10, 15 rounds of it, right? It was super. And at this time, I was like really good at the game. So I was expected by chat to perform really well. And this is actually, it's a funny story because this is one of the first times Casey ever watched me on stream before we were dating or even talking. And I believe it was definitely before we were dating. I don't know if it was before we were talking. I'm sorry, Casey, don't bully me. But
oh, my timelines.
It was like there's like 6 people or 6 people left in the game and Thanos. And I went up to the top of the mountain and I started shooting. I was like, pop, pop. And I'm killing him. I finally kill him. And I'm like, fuck yes, I finally did it after like so many games of trying. Jump up, slide down this mountain, and I land at the bottom, right where Thanos' glove is, right there, glowing, glistening, and I died.
Oh my God.
I killed myself going for that. So I thought that was a really funny moment. There's so many more that have happened. Honestly, streaming has been such a positive influence, I think, in my life. I've kind of lost it recently and kind of lost my consistency with streaming, but in most cases even when stuff is super negative in life or things that aren't perfect, or you're dealing with negative things and just in your day to day, just being able to, booting up stream is a really hard thing to do a lot of the time.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've found that, streaming for a time for me was like my shelter in a way. So I started my stream and I would have a great time doing it. And then that was like my positive thing for the day. And I felt really good about it. So I think that it wasn't like one or two things. It was like every day for some time that I was really, it was like the shining light in my day that I was like looking forward to. So I think that just in general, coming into, being able to go and start my stream up and have people come in and support me for, months and months it's compelling. It's compelling to use that word. So
we're gonna make this long podcast longer because I was just having a conversation with my mommy last week, and she calls me like every week, like on the weekly, just to kind of talk. And I was listening to a podcast, and something that you've heard, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, love him. Yeah.
If that man ever shows up in Detroit, I'm going down on him. Oh my God.
Oh, you love him? Oh, you love him.
I love him. So I was listening to one of his podcasts, and somebody was asking him about why he does what he does and kind of what content that he consumes on the daily. And he's like, the one constant I have as far as other content that I listen to is music. He's like, I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. I don't consume other people's content. And somebody pressed him on it. And he goes, many people use things like video games, television, cars, TV shows, movies. They use it as an escape. They use it to escape real life, to distract them from what's going on in the real life. And he said, my life is so great. I've built such a great life for myself that I never feel like I need to escape from it or distract myself from it. And I thought to myself, that is exactly how I feel. Is like every day is like a good day. And obviously there's so many things that somebody can complain about, and everybody has terrible things that happen all the time. But that's how I feel. Is like, I never feel like I need a break. Like, I obviously just took a break from streaming, but a lot of unrelated.
You're lying.
Yeah. It was probably 20% burnout and 80% physical exhaustion.
Yeah. You just need, you need breaks, but no, I understand it. Like, once you get in a good loop of streaming and just enjoy, I mean, at the end of the day, like, I haven't been streaming, but Twitch is still what I consider to be my platform. Like, I go into, like, when I was super, super active on Twitch, now that I have a girlfriend, it's a little bit different, but I would be watching everyone's streams that I would support. I would try to do my best to be in streams. So, like, literally all day, I would watch so much Twitch that, it was unreal. But
what kind of streams were you watching that are different than the ones you were watching now because you have a girlfriend?
Oh,
you worded that terribly.
No. That's awesome. But ultimately, when it comes down, like, I would spend like 6 or 7 hours a day in Amphi's stream and just sit and like hang out in there, and then and switch over and just kind of like give people someone to talk to. A lot of buddies that come in that aren't necessarily larger or whatever it is. I'd just go in and kind of like catch up with them. But even like when I, whenever I'm taking a hiatus from Twitch, it's not, and what I see as my biggest negative is that I'm not very outward with communicating with people. Like, I'll just disappear off Twitch and I won't say anything about it. And Weenie was actually streaming the day that I came back, and she was talking about, it's so weird that, someone that, and she wasn't talking about me, but she was talking about other streamers. She's like, it's weird that Twitch is this place that, all you could be every day committing to come in to someone's stream, and then all of a sudden they're just gone. And it happens a lot on Twitch, right?
It does.
So it's weird to me because I know that, like, there's people in our chat right now, like Girl of Crows, Dover, that would come in every single day, and like that was their source of entertainment for the day, or the night. And it would be something that they, it's like soccer practice every Thursday night. You know that's going to happen. So I think that one of my shortcomings has been not being as vocal with what's happening or what's going on. But a lot of the time, I'm still on Twitch. Like, if you DM me or whatever, like, maybe I'm not fantastic at getting back to you, but if you run into me, you're probably going to run into me in someone else's chat. Like, right. I'm always on Twitch in some respect. And now more so on Twitter because that's kind of like the kind of away place. But yeah, I mean, I find it as a place where I know, like, I've met so many people that are in interesting industries. Like, once you kind of dig in a little bit with these people that you're meeting, you find out that, like, one of my buddies, Unimatrix, he's a developer on Hellblade, right? So all of a sudden, I find
He's been in my chat before.
Yeah, Unimatrix, he's so awesome. Yeah, Steven's a good guy. So he plays WoW quite a bit now. But I was working for this company that was working with Microsoft at E3 last year, and he was also working there because Microsoft bought their Ninja Studios or whatever the hell it's called. So he was also there, and I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And it's just like, you know, it's just interesting because like there's all these people that are, you know, involved in different industries, but they kind of tie something into Twitch that brings, you know, value to what they're doing on Twitch, and I think that that's, you know, that's super cool. So I'm always gonna be here, just maybe not streaming.
It's creeping.
Just creeping and lurking, brother.
My two favorite moments streaming on Twitch, I would say number one, as far as like sappy, my 5-year streaming anniversary, which was back in April of last year, was probably one of like the best streams ever. I cried for probably like an hour and a half straight.
Is that when the cops showed up?
No, that was Rocket League. So 5-year streaming anniversary was probably number one. Number two was the OBS fundraiser that we just did like a month or so ago. It raised like $2,100 in 6 hours. Absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
Truly showed me how awesome both this and the Twitch community as a whole, you know, can just band together and just make shit happen. It was awesome.
I have one more answer.
Yeah.
I have one more answer. And it's like Twitch is such a weird, like, I'm terrible with timelines, and I'm just the worst at timelines, not limes.
Time lemons?
But time lemons. So one of the greatest events, I think, is Casey and I, or Rebel Ruby, when we first met, we didn't tell anyone that we were dating. So like Gigantic Gent and like all these other people that were kind of like in between each other, or our channels, knew about both of us, but didn't know that we were getting together on anything. We played a couple games here and there, but we didn't tell anyone, right? So we were disappearing, both of us, off Twitch for like 2 or 3 days whenever we were on like a hiatus, because it worked out that where I was traveling for work, she was in between. So I would just fly in a connecting flight and stop in Portland, right? So we met at E3 for the first time, and then there's a few other trips that we were like making stops, and we were just disappearing at the same time. There's a few people that caught on. There's a few people that knew. I think Dover was one of them.
Okay.
But there's a few people that figured it out. So there was like a week in time because we were both working from home. So she just came and she stayed at my place for a week, and it was like we were planning on. We're like, how the hell are we going to tell people, right? Like, how are we going to tell people that this is happening? So we just started the stream, and I had a secondary camera, and I was just streaming as normal, and it was kind of awkward and weird. And all of a sudden I switched to another camera, and it's Casey, and she's like, hello. And she's acting like she's having technical issues, and I had a green screen behind her. And then all of a sudden I walked up and like pulled the green screen out, and she was in my studio. So it's like, which is all like this RGB, which, you know, people could recognize that it was my place. So
right.
we like started laughing and joking. And right when I pulled the green screen out, the camera that was on her froze. So it fucked the whole reveal up completely. And then we were so embarrassed, and then we were just sitting in the chairs, kind of like laughing, trying to figure out what was happening.
Oh no.
And, people in chat were like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? And they were super excited. So I thought that was kind of cool, because like, I'm not like in general, I'm not really a person to share personal stuff on social media, just in general. But that was like the one thing I was like, oh, I'm revealing that I have like a girlfriend, all these people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a loser. I'm not a loser, you guys.
Weenie and I actually kind of did that too. Like, we were talking for a good bit, and people were starting to kind of get a hint that we were talking to each other. Yeah. And then just one day on Snapchat, when we were fucking using Snapchat for only one good reason, we snapped a picture at a bar and threw it up on our story. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, Naaack Weenie. Good times.
That's amazing. Yeah, the reveal was botched, but I think people were excited about it. And then we kind of disappeared again, because it's just like work has been, for both of us, has just been the dump, like this crazy hellhole of a loop-to-loop roller coaster. So we finally decided we were moving in together. We didn't really tell anyone about it, but um, I think that there was a few times we were like in the same call and people were kind of catching on to that. But once we moved in together, I don't know if you saw it, but we made like a little cinematic
Oh, I
video.
saw it. I actually watched it again today.
Did you? It's so
Yeah,
much fun.
because I went to go grab your Twitter URL to put in the command. I'm like, oh, this video, and then I watched it again.
Yeah. So we were just like a lot of what happens, because like we don't have to do anything, right? And that's kind of the interesting thing about a content creator is you don't have to share anything or do anything, but it's like for us, because it's such a weird, for me it's a weird prospect having other people be interested in what I'm doing. It's really strange. So it's like I'm like it's just natural for me. It's like, oh hey, okay, we moved in together, great. Like we spent like this is a personal thing that's, we spent a lot of thought process going in doing this, and then all of a sudden Casey and I are like, we're living together, and we're like, wait, how the fuck are we going to tell people? And we're
Right.
sitting there like, how are we going to do it? Are we going to do another reveal? Like, what's going to happen? And then all of a sudden I was just like, why don't we just make a video about how we don't know what we're going to do, and then just make a video about us making a video, and then make the video. So like have us just sitting. So it was funny because that what we made was just a simple little setup, but it took us 2 nights to do it because the first time was way too scripted, and we're just like, let's just sit here and talk shit and figure out what happens. So I think at the end of it, it turned out pretty funny and pretty good. It was just a
Loved
little
it.
stupid thing. It was super cute. So I think in general, kind of moving forward, I might take a little bit more time to kind of structure what I'm thinking for about doing on Twitch, because I want to. I'm the way that I operate is I'm either 100% committed or not at all. Like I there's no percentage, so I can't just come on and do a half-assed job of streaming. It's just not my thing. So I kind of want to take a little bit more time, figure out the things that I really enjoy doing, and then just go full in on them and, make sure that it's something that I can do and sustain, and then find ways that Casey and I can, incorporate, both of our communities in a way that it's interactive, but, it's not intrusive in a way that like, doesn't affect either one of our streams. So I think in general, we're going to look to do more stuff where it's cooperative and things together, but individually, like for me, I want to be doing streams that I can combine like these creative talents with data and find ways to incorporate, like for instance, one thing that I want to do is this game called Motorsports Manager. Similar to how Jimmy names all of the subs after XCOM people, I want to take Motorsports Manager is literally a top-down motorsports game where you manage a team, and I want to name every driver after a sub, right? Or just after someone that's in the channel. So by doing that, I can just turn it into a production over an entire season and just be talking about like what's happening in the race and do like, because I don't know if you've ever watched me when I'm streaming Fortnite or something and I die. I'll just announce. I'll just start casting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I'll just go into the casting voice. I'll be like, all right, into turn number 1, we have driver Dover GP going into first corner in the second gear. Looks like he's got a car coming on the inside. Is he going to be able to get here on the straightaway? And just go into full caster mode for an entire race, because it's there's no variable that I can control what happens in the race, which is cool. It just it just happens. So it's kind of like the marbles games that you would see on stream, where it's just like people can be a part of it without having to do anything. But as a viewer, it's like, this is not crazy content, but it's like, oh, this is interesting. There's me. Hey, there I go. And I just fell off a cliff. So you're part of it, but you're disconnected in a way. So
yeah.
I think I'm trying to find more things that I can do like that, but not in a way that I'm forcing myself to play something I don't want to play, because I'm not going to. I've gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do something I don't want to do, because it's there's no point. It's not worth it.
And just to give you a little perspective on that, that's kind of one of the sole reasons why we started dumping some money and time into the craft room, because it was like something other than video games, where not only can we both have a space to do this other hobby that we like, but like I can be streaming doing keyboard builds, and then she can hang out there with me, and it can just be like we're just sitting there hanging out.
That's the thing, is like finding, because gaming is one thing, but I feel like building that value for the viewer in ways that are different and compelling. Yeah, fuck, I keep saying that word now. I'm screwing it up. But finding just finding different ways that we can introduce things that that make the content of the broadcast more interesting for the viewer. I honestly, I feel like the first thing that's most important with streaming in general is personality, and just finding a way that you can emulate yourself and not be someone that you're not, Um, because at the end of the day, it's going to get exhausting having to put on a face every time you stream. I want to
Yep.
make it as simple as possible, like maybe 4 times a week. It's literally me in my sweatpants, just sitting and doing nothing but playing the game that I want to play, talking to chat, obviously. But I found that I get into these kind of loops of where literally I have to shower and do all this shit before I stream. So it's like there's a lot of pressure and tension on me. And it's like,
Yep.
yeah, just, and I really just want to get into a place where I'm really comfortable with what I'm doing, but where I can also interact with people, because I feel like I've been letting a lot of, like, there's a meme in my channel that I don't read chat, and that's like, I embrace the meme because I really don't read chat.
Yeah.
But that's something that Casey does really well. So I'm trying to find ways that we can kind of play off of that, and you know, when we're working together, and you know, kind of find a middle ground. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Last 2 questions. Why is Bish
my God, more questions.
such a bad Cav main? These are both quick ones. Let's be quick.
Bad Cav main, because I am a Doc main now, and Cav doesn't have a ACOG.
There you go.
ACOG Ubisoft. Come on.
And I don't play for the London Cavaliers, so I don't even know what this question is about. Last question.
Cavin Siege.
Got it.
Okay.
I was being facetious, Bish.
Oh,
Jesus
damn it,
Christ. The London Cavaliers? Come on.
God damn it. I'm sorry.
Last question. Dirty hookah hose. Headphones you guys use? Question mark. Got a rec for competitive headphones? Question mark.
Headphones we use? Yes, we're using headphones.
I do have headphones.
I'm using a Steel Series wireless headset.
Okay.
Just Google it. You'll find it. I don't know exactly what it's called. I called them Arctics on my last stream, and then someone was like, "What the fuck, dude? I have those Arctics, and those aren't them." I was like,
Well, they used to be called Arctics, and then they moved them to something else.
I needed you. I was bullied the other day, and you could have protected me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I use the Beyerdynamics DT990 Pros, the 250 ohm model, and they are the best headphones in the goddamn world. If only they made a wireless version, I'd jizz all over them.
Yep.
All right, we got to get out of here. I know I saw 1 or 2 more questions that got posted in chat, but we've really got to go. This is officially the longest podcast that I've ever done.
We did it, brother.
Brother. Woo! But before we get on out of here, Bishy, why don't you take just one more moment and just tell chat what you're all about, what you have coming up, where they can find you on social media, and we will close this bitch down.
Yeah, BishopGP here on Twitch. Bishop was here on Twitter. Someone else has BishopGP. Damn it! I know Naaackers just got Naaackers, Naaackers.
Bro, I waited years. Actually,
so
year and a half. Thank you.
That's a big deal. So, yeah, you can find me on Twitter and on Twitch. BishopGP on Twitch. Bishop was here on Twitter. I actually just read that on your bot, but I am a variety streamer, if you can call it that. I am a content producer. I do some really cool stuff sometimes, and I also make some dog shit other times, but I think it all plays well together. So I am planning on returning to streaming more actively pretty soon here. I'm always interested in streaming and just the art of, you know, combining technology with personality. I think that's really fun. And I am looking forward to do it more. My girlfriend Casey and I are planning on doing more streams together. You can find her at Rebel Ruby on Twitch. I think there's an underscore at the end. Rebel Ruby _ on Twitch. And yeah, just shout out to Naaackers and all of the people that support him. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Naaackers, you have truly blessed me with this opportunity. It's been
stop
been so
it.
much fun, dude.
It's just a friendly conversation, okay?
Honestly, this is why. Honestly, like we can't have a Discord channel that we can both be in at the same time, because this would happen every single night.
This is what happened.
Yeah, 3 hours. Our girlfriends would be in bed and be like, "God damn it, they're fucking talking again."
I knew they both like dicks. God damn it! Shit.
So yeah, that's the gist of it. Just going to be on Twitch a little bit more, and beyond that, also going to be, even though I talked everyone out of buying them, going to be offering templated but custom Twitch overlay packages, starting with overlays, and going to have some modular design to them, so you can select your skins, if you want to call them that, to each frame, and it's going to be cheap. So easily done. You don't have to buy them. You shouldn't buy them, but if you're ready for them and you feel ready, they're going to be there, and we're going to kill the game with those. So that should be fun. Look out for those on Twitter. Bishop at Bishop was here, and that'll do it.
Plus, yeah, if you're making an income from Twitch and you have money to spend, get yourself some overlays. 100%.
Yeah. If you're ready, listen. Here's the thing, Naaackers. The way that I'm making it out is like, it's a mental game, right?
Right.
If they're not ready, they can't have them, but they're gonna want them more because they feel like they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm doing there? So yeah, if you're ready, don't do it if you're not ready. All right. If you're feeling unready, don't do it. But in all reality, if you need some help and you need a guiding light in the content world, reach out. I might get back to you. I'll do my best to do so. Look forward to seeing you guys on Twitch streaming yourselves. And if you haven't already, make sure you sub to Naaackers.
No.
He's producing a brilliant experience, and you guys are suckling at the cheat of his work.
Oh my God. All right. Bish, today was fantastic. Thank you for accepting the invite and being here on the show. It was a fantastic episode, and I would love to have you back, possibly in 2 years.
Hey, listen, 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks. Anytime you need me, I'll be here, man. I'll answer immediately for any call of the Knack man. So appreciate you for having me on, and I appreciate everyone that's been hanging around through our shenanigans, and look forward to the next time we get to either play some games or, talk about stuff that we're probably not qualified to talk about.
That sounds good to me. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Crocs and Hot Pockets. I will be back with the normal crew, Middle Age Stream, and Salty Sam next week for episode 88 of the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. Yeah, Jimbo. Thank you guys so much for chilling with us. It was an awesome podcast. I'm sorry it went late, but at the same time, I'm not sorry. Get fucked. And we'll see you guys next week. Goodbye. Say goodbye, damn it. Why doesn't anyone ever say goodbye?
God damn it.
What the hell?
All
All right. See ya.
Later.